the start. I don't know where to go. I'm told I'll reap all of what I sow. These mistakes have no one else to blame. Said I could feel it when you left me here, left me here. Our emotions are one and the same. So come on over, we can persevere, persevere. So come on over, we can persevere. Said I
party. Still wear those sneaks. You here every week. You're the DJ for me. Tryna rock the party. Still wear those sneaks. Baby girl, I'm savage. Baby girl, I'm active. And what I see is active. That's dancing. That's the way that you're dancing. Hips doing that damage. Don't wanna see no landish. And I know you speak Spanish. Baby girl, I'm savage. 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 To the back. Party.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the VGL Summer Split 2. We are in the first week of our second split, and we have got lots of amazing games coming your way again, as we always do in the VGL Challenger Series. We have just finished with the Challenge Battles. Just last weekend, the Challenge Battles, our previous VGL winners, 2 of which made it through to the VG8. And now we find ourselves in another series, another set of battles, deciding not who will make it to the VG8 this time. We have an altered prize. The winner of this split, and only the winner, no top 3 prizes anymore, apart from the money. Only the winner will get the big prize here of the VGL Summer Split 2. It is going to face the winner of the VIS League at a live event when the combined live Unified Western Live Championships happen. This game will take place, I believe, just before the final of the Unified Western Live Championships. So it is a massive, massive opportunity for a challenger team who may never get this opportunity. Joining me, as always, is Dowsey and Tasty Bacon. I will start with you, Dowsey. How have you been, my friend?
Really good, my man. It's a pretty exciting weekend of challenge battles. Of course, favorites Calamity Reborn have secured the top spot in the challenge battles, meaning they got to choose their schedule. And of course, Salty Potatoes making it in. That's some justice for Sneaky.
Absolutely. We are in the draft, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. We are just getting on with it as soon as we physically can. Both of these teams, of which wanted to move things along as they could, because essentially we were a little bit late getting everybody into lobby, so wanted to get it on the way. And then Tasty Bacon, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to get this one underway and start up another exciting split of the Challenger Series here in VGL. Got our first couple bands coming through here, Scoundrel. It's going to be Baron and Lyra taking away. And as everyone can obviously see, it is a single band format for the bulk of the VGL Challenger split.
Absolutely. This is a single ban format as we usually go for. Playoffs usually end up going to a double ban format that we see sometimes come out. We had it in our playoff bracket last time round as well. Grace, first picked here. Lyra actually coming out as a ban, and Lyra has been growing in terms of popularity as a captain hero. I think a lot of people realizing her heals are very strong. But Scarf and Finn prioritized here by Wintex. That's incredibly odd.
Yeah, no, Scarf as a first pick is very strange. It opens up opportunity for counters. You can see the Idris locked in. Idris fantastic in the Scarf. We'll have to see if Treason, who's known for his perhaps a little bit off meta picks, will go for something like that, or if he's deciding that he's going to kind of fit a role of a more meta jungler. He's been spamming this Batiste in solo, and so and his Batiste is pretty good, so not surprising to see him bring it out here.
I've seen him play a bit of Idris as well, though, so feel like he could go both. I know he was a big CP Idris fan. I believe I remember you talking about him quite a lot when you were doing your CP Idris thought processes, but we have a Kestrel locked in finally here on Wintex. It's a very interesting draft prioritization. Wintex obviously could go likely the weapon power Kestrel lane, and Lyrics taking that Scarf to the jungle. I mean, what do we make of these compositions, gentlemen?
Well, I think the composition that has been picked up by Isuba is an extremely powerful composition. The Scarf for Wintex can go into the late game, and Kestrel is one of the picks that some teams have been using to try and counter an Idris. So there's a chance for them, but I really favor Isuba's draft here.
How about you, Dalsy? What do you think on terms of the draft?
Late game, the advantage is on the side of Wintex, so it'll really just depend on how Isuba execute their early to mid, I guess, power, and if they can kind of snowball in their favor.
Absolutely. We are going to start to move things forward here. We're just waiting to get into game, and once we're in game, I'll hand it over to Tasty Bacon and Dalsy.
I'm in game.
Yeah, we're in game as well, so we nothing exciting is happening, but it is 50 seconds into the game. Sometimes the Mac client struggles to get in before before the iPads here. Mobile devices, OP.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that can get taken care of on the spectating end, but until then, Dowsy and I will bring you guys any action that does crop up. Right now, it's been fairly safe farming. Members of Isuba did secure the Ancient Treant, and other than that, it's just been a relatively safe rotation, but here's a nice gank.
You say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful gank comes out of Treason. And there's not much for Artemis Grace to do there. He's stuck inside the Ordained Walls, which means that if he was to exit, he gets stunned. If he exits and gets stunned, he's dead. But if he doesn't exit, he's dead anyway. So great timing by Isuba to find that kill. And that's exactly what Isuba need to be doing. They need to be executing on the fact that Batiste and Idris have fairly decent fighting potential against this composition in the earlier levels. And if they can snowball in their favor, then this kind of more late game orientated composition that Wintex have drafted may struggle to find their late game power.
Yeah, absolutely. Take advantage of the fact that Scarf is not going to be able to have as much of an impact on these rotations, and just really look to build themselves up an early lead. That's the name of the game for Isuba. Has a beautiful effect coming, or beautiful execution of it on that first rotation up to the lane for a gank. We'll see if they look to make more. Billy Mays going to be hanging out in lane quite a bit, but here we go.
Yep, another gank. That's the Ordained finding the stun. Artemis has got the range though, and Billy Mays is body blocking Treason, which means he can't throw any of those bad mojos the way of Artemis. So body blocking coming in handy for Billy Mays. Of course, the Finn doesn't really care about your Ordained. You can walk right out of it. If it was ever to go on top of him, it would silence him as per his heroic perk Unstoppable. But that's kind of the benefit of having a Finn against the Batiste is that he isn't as worried about Batiste.
Mm-hmm. And I like what Lyrics has been doing here. While these rotations to the lane have been coming out for the side of Isuba, Lyrics hasn't tried to counter that. He hasn't tried to, go up and make his presence felt in the lane, which, can hurt Artemis Grace if they're able to find those kills. But Lyrics has been spending that time just clearing out his jungle, taking this Ancient Treant whenever possible, and trying to just make sure the Scarf gets into that mid to late game where Scarf really starts to come online.
I have to see if they will be able to weather the storm that is level 6 Batiste. That's the section of this game when Treason can really start just snowballing it. It's interesting that himself and Venya is not actually going around and...
Oh. Did we lose Dowsy there?
Appears my internet connection is...
There we go.
Yeah, this is a little bit worrying.
Just a little bit, but hopefully it will balance itself out. Much like members of Wintex are hoping that this Scarf can balance itself out into the late game. A big engage here.
Certainly is. It's just poke at this point. Wintex trying to make their range advantage known. Isuba very close to hitting level 6 on that Batiste. You can see Treason just looking to try and get a flank into the bush. Come around the side. He puts the Ordain down onto Billy Mays. That will silence him if he walks out. Resists it, and there we go. That's the kill going over. Could not use the fountain due to the fact that he was silenced. And that's pretty big for Isuba.
And Isuba, another interesting decision they made is they're actually, hold that thought, because they're going in again. Not sure if they're going to really get a whole lot off of this, but definitely being the aggressors here. But they are going to just back off of that one as Artemis Grace and Lyrics were a little bit too far away to really make anything happen. But Gochi going for the Poison Shiv first item on this Idris. It's an interesting decision. It's one I think is made just because they know Scarf won't be really heavily online until the late game, and he knows he doesn't have to rush down into getting himself to that divergent paths. But typically what you do normally see on an Idris is them picking up the heavy steel, really trying to get into the divergent paths as quickly as possible. He's now going to be going into a tension bow, so really not going to be prioritizing getting the divergent path perk.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of this at all. There was a really huge opportunity for Isuba to execute by diving on top of the Kestrel and the Scarf as well, and you are kind of losing your instantaneous dive by not going down it. It's not to say that you can't execute in similar ways, but it heavily relies on Venya and Treason to allow you to do so. It's poor use of your power spikes as a hero, and kind of ignoring that big power spike that is your blink. So Gochi will be looking to try and get that tension bow finished, and then a heavy steel, I assume, for the Sorrow Blade so he can unlock it, but he is just dead. No respect. That's going to be him going down. Now, looking like this Dragon Breath. Treason pushes everyone away. Lyrics not caught in it. He throws that Spitfire goop. Lyrics now moving forward, looking for a kill into Treason, but range is not quite there. Also, Lyrics very low on energy. They're going to just try and siege this turret up, and it should be a turret going over. Venya does dive in. They respect the dive. Artemis Grace just auto-attacking Treason to death as the Spitfire just narrowly avoiding Venya, and Gochi coming back into lane with a tension bow, but still no divergent paths unlocked.
And that was a really nice job by Wintex to recognize that Gochi was playing very aggressively, very far forward, and like you mentioned, not respecting the damage that can come out of Wintex, and they absolutely blow him up, very nearly take down that turret. That's going to be an easy take when they do try and push into this first tier 1 turret once again. It should go down with just a single push is all it needs at this point. So nice job by Wintex, just kind of rebounding off of what looked like it was going to be Isuba finding a few really big early advantages over Artemis Grace. Oh, and
there's an easy gank there, blown up. Will be Fountain coming out Gochi going a little bit low. That's going to be Treason healed up to full. But, oh, there's a huge pull in. Treason now going to have to just throw everyone away. Lyric's in a bit of trouble. Just dances around the edge of that wall. Billy Mays trying his best to make that forced accord work, but not going to be able to find it just yet. One shot. Very close to killing Gochi. A little bit of a panic there as well, thinking he'd get pulled in by the polite company, but was out of range of it.
Yeah, Lyrics has just finished off the Frostburn and is still waiting on that huge item spike of the Broken Myth. But once the Scarf gets that Broken Myth and has a little bit of energy regen, this Scarf is going to be doing so much work. We've already seen Lyrics chunking down both Gochi and Treason, as they are not very durable heroes on the side of Isuba. So they have to be really worried about this Scarf going to the late game.
Yeah, and Gochi especially, since he hasn't gone for this this upgrade. Artemis, though, now in a bit of trouble. Billy May is going to be body blocking up as much as possible. Treason takes a Spitfire Goop combo to the face. That'll be Wintex. Weathering the Storm here, I feel like there would have just been so much more power for the side of Isuba if Gochi could have been able to assassinate. Idris is such a great assassination hero on the weapon power tree. Benya keeping everyone very close to heart. Gonna have to pop that fountain. Oh, just about keeps him alive. Here's the one shot though. He just about survives that as well. Very low on HP, but Isuba now, this is this mid-game power that is starting to come in for the weapon power Kestrel, and they're looking to even take a gold miner. Gochi and Treason looking for the steal here. Chakram can go through Billy Mays, but it's not going to come out. It's going to be Billy Mays polite company. They want this fight here, Wintex. Gochi and Treason having to back off. And Lyrics, a little bit close, maybe too close, didn't get the call to fall back. I think Gochi's going to burn alive. Oh, no, just about survives. Incredible.
Yeah, that was Lyrics definitely being a little bit over-aggressive while the rest of the team had already made the decision to back off. So, unfortunately, giving the kill over. But, you know, one kill for a gold mine isn't the worst trade in the world. There isn't anything else that Isuba's going to be able to pick up off of that, but it very much should have been a gold mine taken with no repercussions. So, an unfortunate situation there for Lyrics, but not going to be one that really cost them in the end.
Yeah, no, it's starting to be quite interesting because it is 1,000 gold lead for Wintex here. They've got a much better late game composition if they can keep their range, if Billy Mays can body block and kind of just keep these double squishy carries alive. Gochi now finally with his divergent pass unlocked, so with that infusion it's just ticked him over. And now Treason caught on out, he goes down instantly.
And that's one of the risks of being a Batiste. You are not very durable unless you get your sustain out. You're very squishy to burst. And that's really going to be the key here for side of Wintex. This weapon Kestrel along with a Scarf, if they catch you out, if they get a Spitfire Goop with a couple of Glimmer shots, you're just dead in an instant with no real opportunity to react. So Wintex finding that advantage. This is, again, now that we're getting into, you know, sort of the second item power spikes coming out, this is where Wintex can really start turning this game around. Lyrics opted to go for the Eve of Harvest before finishing off the Broken Myth. I'm not a huge fan of that decision, but it's not a terrible decision at the same time. It's, you get that extra sustain, you get the extra energy regen, but once this Broken Myth comes out, that's just such a massive spike.
It certainly is, as Isuba are taking a lot of damage here. If you think about it though, Tasty Bacon, Eve of Harvest is a sustain item. Broken Myth is more of a damage teamfight orientated item. Wintex don't want a teamfight. They just want to scale. So you're going to build either all of them eventually. So you might as well build the one that's going to allow you to sustain, stick around, and have that health energy regen so you can stay present on the map as you're not really looking for team fights right now. So it makes perfect sense that you wouldn't opt in for the Broken Myth first, especially on a Scarf who's wanting to scale into late game.
Yep, right now the late game is arriving in a pretty hurried fashion because it's just been really free farming for the side of Wintex. They haven't been pressured much at all, and we're getting close to these junglers having their third tier 3 items. The laners are already at 3 tier 3 items, and this is a very accelerated pace in terms of itemization. The overall pace has been relatively slow, not really been either team looking for massive aggression other than in the first 3 to 4 minutes or so when Isuba was trying to make plays up into the lane, but it has fallen off very heavily since then, and that heavily favors the side of Wintex because, again, late game they have a very clear advantage in these team fights, and once Lyrics does get himself that broken myth, it's going to be so difficult for Isuba to win any fights.
Yeah, no, certainly is. That's Treason just completely burnt up there. Overdrive on that Quibble, and that's a stun if you face check bushes. Cannot be affording to do so. This Isuba roster without Baron in the lane, seeming a little bit lost. Goki was their captain in the previous split. The split before that, it was Venya, their captain. That's another gold miner going over. Artemis looking for a grand escape, does get spotted up, but there's just no way that you can chase this down if you're Isuba. And it kind of comes back to poor item builds. Efficiency was not really there for Isuba. They didn't capitalize off their win conditions, so now they are fighting up against ropes. They can blow up a Kestrel or a Scarf in a late game team fight. Billy Mays is going to have to be protecting these two squishy carries, and positioning will have to be there. But with Goki so far from completing his damage build, realistically should have had it finished about 2 minutes ago with the Sorrow Blade completed. Isuba have kind of just fallen off.
Yeah, and it's just been a difficult time for them ever since they did go for the much slower, I guess. It's tough to say that it's a slower build when you're going for the 2 cheaper items first, but like you mentioned, with an Idris, you want to get that early flat damage. The utility of the Poison Shiv, like there was no lifesteal early on. Stopping the healing doesn't really do much in the early game against this team.
Yep, it's going to be Kraken started up here as Venya trying his best. Here we go, Goki jumping on to Lyrics, trying to blow up this Scarf, but he's good positioning. He's out of the fight. Treason's just not able to get close enough. Now, it is going to be Wintex here, just looking to re-engage. That's Venya losing his life to the Scarf as he auto-attacks him to death. Isuba really can't do much about this Kraken. I would realistically not even look for the steal. It's too risky at this point to do so. And it is going to be Kraken contested though. Treason, quibbled. Goki dives on in, looking for the steal. Can he get it? He blows up Artemis. Can he get the steal though? No, he cannot. Spitfire Goop connects, and that's the kill going over to Wintex. And Billy Mays pulls Treason in for 499. That will be a double kill. And Wintex are going to be able to find the ace.
Beautiful pull in from Billy Mays. That was right at the tip of the anchor. A little bit of, but wait, there's more to that team fight. And with Kraken getting unleashed, Lyrics isn't going to be, really having to stop this push at all. With a big wave of ace buff minions, that's 2 turrets getting taken out before Kraken even gets to the base. I don't know how much they get with the actual Kraken itself. Maybe a little bit of damage on this first crystal turret, but I don't know if it's going to go down at all, because with all 3 members of Isuba up, they're going to be able to stop this Kraken pretty quickly. Lyrics and Billy Mays looking to distract.
Yep, they're going to do their best to distract, but that's going to be Fearsome Shade pushing everyone back. Really don't want to be fighting right now. No points here if you are Wintex. That's going to be Lyrics losing his life. Artemis stuns up Goki. He's looking for the kill here. It's going to be Shroud Step keeping him alive. Shimmer Strike, in fact. There's the heal. Kraken will go down to a turret shot here in just a second. If they can get some more kills, get an ace for themselves, that's great. That's a knock-up. Venya Killer keeps Wenya in, but he is going to take the kill. That's a double. Goki now has to make the hero play, and he certainly can on Idris. But it's a tough task, as Artemis will be playing the stealth game here, looking to just keep himself distant. Goki dives in. Now he's Shroud Steps offline for a little bit here, 10 seconds, and Artemis is, of course, just sitting inside a active camo. Goki still alive somehow. think Artemis probably could have just killed him with auto attacks, but was kind of BMing a little bit, trying to pull him in. And that's going to be the end of the fight.
All right, so a bit of extra aggression from Wintex there, but they get that first turret on the Vein Crystal. Only one turret remaining for them to pick up the victory in this game. And I mean, again, you look at their side of the fold, and their turret hasn't even been touched. Their first tier 1 turret. And Wintex heavily in control of this game at this stage, even though it's only a 4,000 gold lead and only a 1-kill advantage. Everything else is just so heavily in their favor. The momentum, the team fight potential, and the objectives. This is 100% now Wintex's game to lose, as they are going to be pushing themselves on in. If they find one more good team fight, one more good forced accord that doesn't get fully blocked up, it's very likely going to be game over.
Okay. Treason, face tanking, a lot of damage. Goki gonna go in, there's the fearsome shade. It fears Artemis. Artemis in a bit of trouble, but the fountain will keep him alive for now. Goki on the other side looking for the kill. Artemis being focused down, but somehow still alive as he's in Viz. Where's the flares from Venya? Alright, they get the kill, but Lyrics now going to start doing work. He's a Scarf and he's doing the work. Lyrics going to have Goki pulled towards him. Treason steps too far close. That's going to be Treason going down. It's a double. Goki now. Just take down Billy Mays if you're here. No point doing anything else. There we go. Now you can take down this Scarf. If you avoid his Spitfire, you're in a good position. Lyrics going to push the lane up here. Goki, what is he going to do? He's going to run towards Lyrics, try and find the kill. Voids the Spitfire, now he needs to dive in. Oh, he's playing so scared. Lyrics will only benefit from this eventually.
Lyrics has no energy.
Cooldown's coming down. Is low energy, but he's going to back in this bush, and Goki is not going to... Alright, he stops it. Alright, Lyrics hits the Spitfire. Don't run into the goop! Oh, he runs into the goop!
The one thing you have to avoid. And Goki runs right into it and goes down. Thankfully for him, it wasn't an ace because he danced around with that Scarf for so long that his teammates were able to come back up. And so the game will continue, but there's just now Kraken getting started up. Artemis with Lyrics being able to just recall. It's a 3-on-2 situation.
Alright, Kraken. It's a little bit dangerous, I think, but they should be able to secure it with a Scarf. Treason and Venya Killer probably shouldn't be looking for this kill. Oh, Treason gets pulled into an active camera, blocks it, but that is him dead. Venya now is in a lot of trouble. Ace comes out, no, just as Goki spawns. And now he has a 1v3 miracle play, 40 seconds. This is why contesting the Kraken's just so dangerous when you are at this late stage, is that the Kraken's going to push in and you're only going to be respawning at the last second. And with the minion wave pushed up already, they can just ignore the fact they have a Kraken and just push the win here.
And that's exactly what they're going to be doing. Artemis is back with the Kraken, but with just one member up, it's just not going to matter. And Wintex are going to push in for this game.
Yeah, there's going to be one going down here, but Goki can't really take down Artemis. And even if he does, the Kraken will find the last hit. GG to Wintex as they take game 1 of this series. I have to say, eSuper kind of disappointed me in not only their poor use of win conditions, power spikes, but also I feel like Goki's Idris perhaps not quite there. And if you're a captain main playing carry, maybe you need to go back to something that is a little more a little bit more streamlined. Idris has so many high ends that you have to hit in team fights.
Absolutely, guys. That was a pretty entertaining game for the most part. eSuper maybe a little bit restrained from what they usually end up playing. They play a very aggressive playstyle. They've often been known pulling out these very interesting compositions that felt a bit tame for me from the eSuper guys. Maybe it's because they don't have the full lineup that they wanted to play this game with. And you're right, I don't know. That Idris build, it feels like it should be the sort of Sorrow Blade first every single time, because you need to get that perk unlocked, ASAP.
Yeah, and not only that, Against a Finn, just build Breaking Point. Like, Breaking Point is fine on Idris. The Tension Bow, I understand it, but Scarf isn't really... Like, even with a Tension Bow, Scarf is going to position in such a way that it kind of makes it hard for you to burst him. With a Finn there as well. So you can use the Finn to stack your Breaking Point very easily. A lot of people criticize that Idris can't stack his Breaking Point as quickly as other carries, but when there's a Finn there, you can, and then you can dive in, and your Breaking Point with stacks is going to do far more damage than the Tension Bow, allow you to assassinate. It just felt a little bit off tempo consistently for the side of Isuba, because not only did they not utilize their early game power due to the poor itemization and build and perhaps lack of aggression, but in this context of this game, they probably didn't have the efficiency of a full build either. I don't think Sorrowblade was finished. He went full defensive before he finished the Sorrowblade, and that's your main damage. Poison Shiv and Tension Bow doesn't really do much.
Yeah, he only, as far as I saw, he only had a heavy steel in inventory as his third or 2.5 items in on this weapon power Idris. Yeah, I definitely felt like they had some really good aggressive plays in the early game, Tasty Bacon, though. They got a couple of good ganks, but what did they do wrong? They just didn't snowball off that? They kind of tapered their aggression off? What went wrong here for Isuba?
Yeah, they really just didn't push the issue when they had that early advantage. And like Dowsy was saying, part of it comes from the build from the Idris, just not really building into a build path that was designed to take advantage of that early lead they were able to get. And they never really put any pressure on the Scarf either. And while there was plenty of pressure on the lane, Scarf was just minding his own business in the jungle, farming up and getting to that point where he could turn the game around. And that was why I said, it was an accelerated pace for the build paths. I mean, we were talking 3 offensive items by the 14-minute mark. That's not something we typically see from a jungle Scarf.
Absolutely. I accidentally started the draft a little too quickly there. I forgot to change sides, but we are ready to roll now. I think everybody's good to go. Oh, I accidentally almost put Dowsy on one of the teams. Probably.
Oh, it's okay. I'll show them how Idris is played.
I thought you might say that. So, right. I have changed the teams onto correct sides here. Draft is underway, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get things rolling. Wintex Esport, Wintex Sports even, just one win away from getting themselves into the round of 16, the winners bracket. As we have got a double elimination tournament again. Round only 32 teams in this split, so we'll be accelerating pretty quickly through all of these games. Next game of today will be 90 Degrees versus THN MV, 2 teams that have featured quite heavily on VGL streams in the past. And we'll also be bringing you another game the hour after that, to be announced at the moment, likely going to be the first elimination, or one of the first elimination brackets or games of the tournament.
It will definitely be an elimination match. That's always the format here. Catherine, Idris. Okay. Now, usually when Catherine and Idris is picked for Isuba, they play CP Idris, Scoundrel, and they pick something like Weapon Power Lance in the jungle, and they go for on-hit burst. So maybe this is more typical of what Isuba usually plays. I would kind of hope so, because not only is it fun watching Isuba play it, but it's what has got them so far in tournaments.
Yeah, it's very difficult to deal with if you don't have the right tools, but you're seeing already Bright Bulwark very good at shutting down a lot of the ways to capitalize on a stun. So there's already a tool there right now for Wintex to sort of prevent this Lance pick being as effective as maybe it could be, prevent the Catherine from maybe landing the stuns when necessary. And you also have a Black Feather you can see locked in. Good matchup versus the Weapon Power Idris. Also means he can kind of use his Rose Offensive as that sort of colloquially named Rose Defensive tool to get himself out of tough situations. But it does look like that will be the composition, Dalsy. This is the Isuba that we know and love. And Treason will be on his Weapon Power Lance jungle. Gochi will be on the Catherine. And Papa Smurf will be playing that CP Idris here. It is pretty much, like you said, bread and butter Isuba here, Dalsy.
Yeah, and with Goki going back into the captain position and Papa Smurf coming in as a substitute to play the CP Idris, this could be a completely different performance here, because, Goki's captain position in the tournaments have been great. And so, and of course, Treason, you can rely on his Weapon Power Lance. So I'm expecting, as we jump into Game 2 here, Tasty Bacon, that we will see something far more typical of Isuba. And they're definitely going to want to take this series from Wintex, but being one down already, it's a hard road ahead.
It is indeed, and Wintex obviously going to be wanting to 2-0 this series just as badly as Isuba wants to make a comeback. So there's going to be a lot of action I would expect in this one just because of these compositions. I'm interested to see Trazen on this Lance, though. And right now, Wintex, they are stealing away. This is a Scarf invading an enemy jungle and stealing away camps. That is not something that you hear every day.
It's hard for Catherine to be able to stop them. You know, once you merciless pursuits, that's it. Treason was at his backs, so there wasn't much to be done there. But they are roaming up to lane. If they can catch Artemis with a merciless pursuit, then you'll see the combo start to break out. Billy Mays has made his way around. It's going to be Sigil to try and save him. There's the root. There's the stun. That's Billy Mays Artemis being knocked back. Can he survive is the question. One more auto attack. Ooh, doesn't quite impale through Billy Mays there. That's going to be Artemis surviving.
Artemis, very, very lucky to be alive. Billy Mays rotating up at just the right time to provide that sigil, keep him alive, because that was a 3-man gank that was looking to take this Blackfeather down, and that's got to be so disheartening for Isuba as well, to know that you put so much effort into that first gank and not come away successful. And again, Scarf being aggressive, looking to steal away camps once more. Not going to get this one. It does go to Gochi on the Catherine. And now Lyrics might be in a bit of trouble.
A little bit of trouble. He is going to go down. First blood for favor to Papa Smurf. Looking for a second. Billy Mays low. Trying to roll in and get into range for that chakram. Stun onto Artemis. That's going to be the impale missed, though. Artemis will be able to survive the harass for now. Isuba with the first blood, now looking to make this composition that we've seen from them many times scale up.
Now we'll see how well they can do so. Papa Smurf is going to be going in.
That was really, really dangerous by Artemis here, and he's going to run away, but he's only running into the enemy jungle. Currently, Treason is holding the fort over Lyrics in the center of the map, so Artemis doesn't really have much to go. And actually, I like this move. What's happened is Goki just chases down. As a Catherine in the early game, he can 1v1 the very low health Blackfeather. And that also allows for Papa Smurf to push the minion wave into the turret. So not only do they get the kill, but they deny CS onto Artemis and provide a CS lead for Papa Smurf.
Yeah, both Lyrics and Billy Mays are going to rotate up so that this minion gold doesn't go to waste, but he said if Artemis isn't getting it, that is going to be a pretty hefty deficit. A lot of minions went down to that turret as a result of that push. And so this gives Papa Smurf a chance to catch up because Artemis has actually been winning this CS battle and still has a very slight edge. But once this wave gets cleaned up by Papa Smurf, that should no longer be the case. So a good job, an excellent decision there. Heads up play by Isuba to know that Catherine would be able to deal with that Blackfeather on her own, and Papa Smurf going to be very happy to get that recall through.
Yeah, no, now it's another stun. That's going to be Artemis in a lot of trouble. Brightbolt denies the impale, but you can see that Isuba are putting so much pressure onto the lane here. And Lyrics, yes, he's able to hard farm, but he's going to have to be called into lane to help out. Papa Smurf almost with as Chakram to find the kill onto Artemis Grace there. Wintex, Lyrics positioning, but he just gets stunned up, rooted, and now he's feeling it. Oh, he just hasn't had that happen to him yet in this game and didn't realize how devastating it was for the team. I can just imagine the comms when you're with your friends. It's like, man, I'm just getting destroyed in this lane. It's like, oh, it can't be that bad. Yeah, it is that bad. Look at Billy Mays getting destroyed by this burst. Just rinse and repeat. Every 8 seconds, the cooldowns come off and they can just do it once more.
And 4-0 now for Isuba. This was the kind of aggression I wanted to see from them last game when they were making these early plays into the lane. You know, make the play in the lane, then rotate down, take out the jungle, put this Scarf behind. That's the only way to beat a Scarf, is to make sure you punish it as heavily as you possibly can in the early game. Now, Heart of His Grace, because of the Shattered Glass completed onto Papa Smurf, one Chakram takes out about half of his health. This is going to be such a difficult matchup now with all of this damage that's able to come out, and from a pretty safe distance for Papa Smurf now too.
Yeah, for sure. Scoundrel mentioned in the draft that Black Feather is pretty good into weapon power Idris. It's not into CP Idris. It just doesn't do enough unless you somehow catch the CP Idris off guard and you can jump on top of him and, you know, kite him back. Yeah, perhaps you have potential, but Papa Smurf is going to try and avoid that every time. And oh my gosh, Artemis just gets deleted. Trying to move up there, but Treason just comes in as he does so. This is going to be Turret going down, and they're looking for Wintex as well. Sorry, Billy Mays as well. Turret at the 6-minute mark, as Papa Smurf is just trying to deny as much CS to the turret as possible. And they're going to take a gold miner, perhaps. It's only half full. Perhaps they won't go for it just yet.
And this is going to be snowballing very, very heavily as long as Isuba keep this pressure up. I mean, this was the Isuba we were expecting to see, I feel, Dowsy, in game number 1. Now that they have Papa Smurf in the lineup for them and Gochi's back on that more comfortable position as a captain, they are looking so much cleaner, so much more decisive when they go for these plays. And Treason rotating up once again. This could spell trouble, but as soon as they get spotted out, Wintex are on the run. And, I mean, right now, if you're a Isuba, you take advantage of the fact you know that they're afraid of you, and rightfully so. So you just show up in different spots on the map, force them to run away, and take advantages all over the place. You take the jungle, you take the lane, you push it in as hard as you can, then you make that jungle become your jungle. Yep. And all of a sudden, Lyrics is just not going to have any sort of impact in this game, and neither has Artemis Grace.
Yeah, I think that last bit right there is the most important part as Billy Mays loses his life, is that Isuba, they need to be now taking crystal sentries. They need to be eliminating that crystal sentry by the 15-minute mark. Lyrics just about dodges, but he's going to get stunned nonetheless, and the Giffian Wall keeps him in place. Isuba, they need to take as many objectives in the next 7 minutes as possible. Now Artemis is going to just about dodge the Impale, but this turret now should go down. Isuba, I feel like, shouldn't even be contested, but they are moving away, going towards the center of the map here. Perhaps just going to start up the gold miner instead. You know, in the top tier of Vainglory play, when a team gets this far ahead, they usually play so aggressive in the enemy's jungle, and this is where sometimes the Challenger Series teams just don't understand how powerful they are, and don't understand how they can snowball the game to the fullest extent. It is a pretty hefty lead, 4,000, so Isuba doing well, but they need to be making sure that there is just no chance of comeback for Wintex.
And another opportunity that, well, they're going to be going in here, but not finding the kill. Another bit of a missed opportunity. Instead of, we obviously talked about the Crystal Sentry, but even after taking that gold miner and rotating down to the shop, the members of Wintex were so far pushed up, they could have just rotated back around behind them, come up through the Wintex side of the map, and find another couple of kills much more easily than the attempt that they had made coming through their own side of the mustache brush. But either way, Artemis Grace.
Ooh, he dodges everything and still gets knocked into the turret. That's a feel bad man right there. When you Rose Offensive, the Merciless Pursuit, dodge the Impale, and you still lose your life. Billy May is going to get stunned up here. Isuba looking for kills. Yes, Papa Smurf almost dies. The fountain will come out. Kills are great, but you don't need them. They need to just be going for every objective here. See, once more, rotate into the middle map here. That Crystal Sentry is a 5-second diversion. That is literally it. And, what are Wintex going to realistically do? They're going to throw some skill shots at you, and then you're going to laugh as you walk away from them. This is perhaps just the next step up that Isuba need to be making as they progress through the VGL Challenger Series.
And not only that, but you could take the Crystal Sentry. The backs were all up. You could have denied those away as well. There's so much to be gained when you have this kind of lead by going into the enemy's jungle and deep into the enemy's jungle. Yes, stealing away the forward camps is still good, but you could have had so much more. And, I mean, obviously, it's not likely to cost Isuba here, but it is still giving a small little window of opportunity, just leaving that window cracked for the members of Wintex to make this comeback if they can keep farming up those backs in their jungle, if they still have that Crystal Sentry when we get to the late game. That's just another opportunity for them to be able to make their way back into this game. And you're up against the Scarf. The later this game goes, the better the chances Wintex will have, just by virtue of how Scarf is as a hero.
And let's talk about Lyrics real quick, because you kind of made this point about the Eve versus Broken Myth. In the previous game, Wintex weren't forced to fight because eSuper weren't aggressive, so they could safely take the Eve of Harvest, and that kept Lyrics nice and sustained. Billy Mays, I think, is disconnected here. Lyrics is forced to fight. He has to fight because Wintex are so far behind. And you can see instead he is going for a Broken Myth. So that's kind of the difference, is that when you are threatened, when you are forced into engagements that you don't want to go, then yeah, you need to have that team fighting damage. When you're not, because eSuper weren't putting the pressure on, they hadn't turned the heat up, then you can afford that Eve of Harvest. It's just the difference in pace and game. Respect to eSuper, noticing that Billy Mays and recognizing that Billy Mays had disconnected here. They're not going to kill Billy Mays, just leave him stationary in the bush. Oh, maybe they will. Smith attacking him in just a little bit, perhaps just looking to stack up his Broken Myths in case Artemis wanted to fight. But yeah, there's eSuper with his son. Artemis in a lot of trouble. Artemis should go down to a couple auto attacks here. Papa Smurf looking for it. Oh, he jumps forward onto the Scarf. Lyrics will go down, I think, if they decide to go for the kill. Turret is theirs. Goki? Okay. Just kind of died to the Spitfire goop. But they're going to get a second turret. Ooh, this is a bit of a throw if they lose their lives here. Oh, and they don't even get the turret. It's not worth anymore. Artemis goes down nonetheless.
Still worth.
Still worth. And in just a couple of seconds, Papa Smurf can throw the chakram through the turret's shield and he'll kill it. But yeah, no, there's the kill.
All right, so unfortunate situation here for the side of Wintex, with Billy Mays just being essentially a very difficult to kill scout trap, sitting in his mustache.
He's not difficult to kill.
In terms of versus a scout trap, it takes a little bit more time.
A little bit ethical. It's an ethical dilemma,
It also takes more time to kill him.
When I kill scout traps, I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything, Tasty Bacon. I'm as cold as a
scout traps had a family.
Right, I know, but I took that away from them. But yeah, this one here, it's feels a little bit bad, man. Artemis in trouble here. No Frostburn means that Papa Smurf can't really keep him in position. This build from Papa Smurf is right. Like, you don't need Frostburn in this scenario because you're looking to blow someone up as quickly as possible. But perhaps when you don't have a Catherine Lance, you may want to go a Frostburn against the Weapon Power Blackfeather, just so that you can kite him a little bit better. He still can be a huge threat to a CP Idris in the late game if your team aren't peeling for you. Papa Smurf didn't go over there. It's like he missed his ultimate. Yeah, there he is. Tried to swag his way over to get the kill here. Oh, Billy Mays is alive. He's coming back. Okay. He's maybe a little bit too late. They're just tanking up this turret here. Goki very low to death. Minion Wave's going to enter the base here, and they may look to just finish the game as it stands. Billy Mays now has to be careful as Lyrics just gets deleted by that combo. That's going to be the turret falling here. Artemis Grace all on him to make the plays. He gets turned upon here. Papa Smurf looking for the kill, and it should go his way. He's going to go down. That's going to be Billy Mays losing his life as well. Perhaps a less ethical dilemma to kill that scout trap, and an ace comes through. eSuper will find themselves a game win here. And despite the fact that Billy Mays did DC, I think it's pretty fair to say that eSuper were on track for a win before that unfortunate event for Wintex.
Yeah, it was still an 8-0 scoreline at that stage of the game, so it's likely it doesn't affect the ultimate outcome at the end, but it is still a very unfortunate situation to not have the chance to really try and fight back and try and make that comeback happen. But we are going to have a game 3 where Wintex can look to make it happen.
Absolutely, Tasty Bacon. Game 3 of our first series of the VGL Summer Split 2 here. Not often that we get to see a 3-game first series of the day, and it looks like it's a pretty close affair. We literally said before that game started, I wonder if Isuba are going to revert back to that composition where they kind of play it every time and they win every time. And it looks like it got them pretty far this time round, Darcy. We're going to get them underway once more, make sure the teams are ready to go for the next draft. Just check that Billy Mays is okay to play the next game, because obviously he had some connection issues there, although all players are responsible for their own connections. What do you do? Do you ban one of these components of the draft here, Darcy?
It really depends on if you're happy playing against Baron, because I doubt that Isuba will ban it since they're A-side. If they play it, that is. And so banning out the without banning out the Baron, you may open yourself up to issues. And if you're banning like Idris, for example, then you've just got rid of your main counter to Baron as well here in Europe. So yeah, I think you probably just try and draft something that has early game presence into it. With the A side, you do have the chance to kind of counter the composition with a pick. So yeah, it's very hard against East. We've seen many teams struggle to deal with it.
We are just waiting to make sure the players are okay to sort of get back on the road. I believe Billy Mays just doing something with his internet, and Treason did also have to pop out for just a second. Oh, it's so simple yet so impressive, that composition, Tasty Bacon. It just feels like it's so easy to pull off, but teams are still getting caught out by it. Why do you think that is? It's just because of the ease of it. It makes it difficult for teams to play around it. It's got such good early game in terms of that combo. What do you make of it, Tasty Bacon?
For me, a lot of it is just because of what other teams are trying to play right now. Like a burst is one of the big focuses in the current meta. Burst and mobility are the two keys, and because there's so much lockdown available, you have the on-demand stun of a Catherine, and once that connects, Lance and Idris are just guaranteed to hit their next abilities. And if you lock down someone who's meant to be highly mobile, they're generally very squishy and are just going to die. And that's what we saw over and over and over again, was Catherine would go in, land the stun, and then immediately would be followed up by the Lance. And if they lock you down during any point in this, there's nothing you can do. And so that's really why we're seeing the level of success I feel for it. It comes online very, very early. And it's a really well thought out composition. And there are ways to counter it, but you have to counter it with things that, have a little bit more beefiness to them. And that's what a lot of teams really aren't putting an emphasis on right now.
Yeah, they always have their late game backup of the CP Idris as well. I mean, Dalsey, what are the strengths of CP Idris, compared to his weapon power counterpart? I mean, a lot of people know his weapon power counterpart, the assassin, highly mobile, sticks to targets. What are the sort of the advantages of a CP Idris as we get into the draft here?
Once your Broken Myth is stacked up, you output a ridiculous amount of damage on both your auto attacks and your chakram. Your chakram is your bread and butter damage dealer. I guess a bit like weapon power, but if you're hitting your chakram onto multiple targets in the late game, they're losing about half their HP, and that's really hard to deal with in late game.
Absolutely. We are into draft now, ladies and gentlemen. And it is going to be Isuba on A side. And again, banning Baron on A side often signifies as they actually might not even ban. This is interesting.
They ban Idris here. That would throw everything off.
Grumpjaw, okay. Looks like Idris is being thought of here for Wintex, which might force Gochi to pick up the Grace, which generally tends to be the first pick on A side.
I wouldn't do that. Like it's a very European thing to pick up Grace first. But here you either need to pick Baron up if you play Baron, or you need to pick up a Lyra. Lyra's probably better than Grace at the moment throughout all facets of the game. There's the Baron locked in, and now for Wintex, Lyra would not necessarily be the right pick here. You want something that can dive. Grace is okay with that. Ringo, okay. I guess if you play CP Ringo, you have a range advantage. Weapon power Ringo is a little bit harder to pull off.
There's this very slim window in the mid game where weapon power Ringo can steamroll a Baron, but it's a very slim window. Like, technically, Ringo has one of the best single target damage outputs in the game in late game because of Twirling Silver, technically. But the problem with Ringo is that there's so many facets to a late game carry that make a late game carry good. Vox is half good because of his damage output, but probably mainly because of his mobility. I mean, Vox has got a self-peel tool in the form of Sonic Zoom, which deals damage as he kites away. It's just like a self-peeling tool. Baron has the ability to jump jets. He's got the massive damage. Ringo's got one of the best single target damages in the game, but doesn't really have anything else to sort of boost his kit. He's just a damage machine who's very easily focused, and as we see this composition locked in for Isuba,
wow,
heavy protect on the Baron, and it's going to be a Celeste Ringo composition from Wintex.
It's very interesting having the Celeste come in as the last pick here. So they're going to look to try and out damage from range, it seems like Scoundrel. I think Isuba's composition is fairly decent around the Baron. Of course, Treason with the Batiste can negate the engage with his Fearsome Shade and also a lot of burst damage alongside the Baron. This lyrics is kind of the key. Once more, can his Celeste be effective enough to shut down a very, very late game orientated team comp from Isuba?
I agree, and as we head into the game here, Dalsey, it's definitely going to be post level 8 for Wintex. That's when they can start to punish the Batiste, the range on the Celeste, but before that, it's an opportunity for Isuba to keep this Baron safe and get him rolling. Tasty Bacon, Dalsey, up to you.
Thank you. It's a protector contract for Goki in the lane. They're going to look to try and get Papa Smurf as healthy as possible. I was very impressed with something that FlashX did this weekend over in the Halcyon Elite Summer Invitational. Picked up a Dragon Blood contract whilst playing Catherine alongside a Baron. And of course, Best Chuck's Baron, probably one of the best in the world right now. Every time Best Chuck's jump jets came offline in the lane, he jump jet aggressively. The Dragon Blood contract was procced, and the amount of burst damage he was doing at early levels was actually insane.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun way to run the Baron. Just give Baron extra damage. Like, that's just a terrifying thought. And obviously worked very well. Not going to be seeing it come through this time around, but Lily Mays looking to go aggressive in the lane. Lyrics rotating up as well. They know they're not really going to be able to find anything right away. So just backing off, maybe looking to catch out Trezon, going for this Ancient Treant.
So 1 versus 2 here. Treason's a little bit out of sorts. He's going to get core collapse. He's going to get stunned. And he has to fight his best, but he cannot. It's first blood to Celeste. That's perhaps a little bit of a poor rotation from both Treason and Goki alike. A lot of priority from Isuba just from that interaction alone has been put onto Baron, as Goki wants to try and keep him protected in lane. That might be a problem for Treason, who actually needs to shut down this Celeste and needs the help of his captain to do so.
We'll see how it will play out, because for now, and you said Goki sticking in the lane. Billy Mays is hanging out here too. Goki's gonna have to use a ton of energy. Oh, Artemis! Whew.
See, Dragon Blood contract, and that guy would have been dead. I just think that he jumps forward again, and this time gets him. That was a lot of disrespect from Artemis to be sticking around so close. With your auto attacks, it reduces the cooldown of jump jets, so that it comes up very quickly. And as Papa Smurf keeps attacking, he's obviously going to have his jump jets up as soon as possible. Once more, Lyric's able to walk into the center map and take away the Elder Treant. Treason not really finding effect there. Batiste into Celeste isn't a great matchup for Batiste, but of course that's kind of the benefit of having a B-side counter pick. It's more likely that the Batiste's role in this game is going to be just peel with the Ordained and with the Fearsome Shade.
Yeah, a lot. That's going to be a lot of it, at least early on. Once level 6 comes out, the Fearsome Shade is a huge ultimate. And once you get a little bit later on, then you can, sort of become looking to chase down targets. Throw the Ordained on someone who's trying to escape. The damage from a Batiste in the late game is absolutely massive when that perk gets procced. and you get that extra 100% crystal power on your ratios, and it's the damage that can come out from bad mojos at that point, especially with the broken myth, just becomes absolutely silly. But again, that's very late game oriented. Papa Smurf
just about dances away. Going to be okay for now. Here's Lyrics running away from Treason. Billy Mays should go down, and that's going to be Treason finding the kill. I feel like in this game, it's going to be very difficult for Treason to be able to do what he just did. Once we hit the late game, as Papa Smurf aggresses forward looking for Lyrics, and that's going to be a kill for him. With the minefields at level 8 that the Heliogenesis provides, especially if a Clockwork gets picked up 4th item for Lyrics, something that we've seen popular. Oh, Artemis. Oh, that is a lot of disrespect. Wintex, they're like, okay, we're against the Baron, who cares? No, Baron does a lot of damage early game. It's people who don't use jump jets that give Baron this kind of, I can't think of the right word to describe it, stigma that he can't do damage early game. He does a lot in lane. You have to respect it.
Yeah, and the stigma of Baron not doing damage early game is definitely a misguided one. I think, people have interpreted some things that we have said in the past a little incorrectly, because we've always said Baron is weaker in the early game, and he is. Like, you can take advantage of a Baron in the early game. Yes, he still has a ton of damage, but his escapability is nowhere near as high. The jump jets take time to actually make you move. You aren't immune to crowd control while you're flying through the air. So you can punish a Baron early game if you have a composition to do so. And right now, Wintex, they just don't have a composition to do so. They are not respecting this Baron whatsoever and have been punished for it multiple times now already. Artemis Grace and he's starting to respect it.
Yeah, he is, but like, the only thing that stopped Papa Smurf from killing him was the fact that they were killing Billy Mays. I think that Smurf could have dived forward and found the kill for himself. Isuba, Fearsome Shade doesn't find a kill. It's down for another 60 seconds now. Looking to siege up this turret, but with the level 8 Heliogenesis makes things a little bit difficult to do so, as the wave clear is pretty strong now. Isuba, now, this is a point in the game when they have to really change the carefulness of their aggression. From up until now, they've been able to be a little bit carefree, a little bit Hail Mary in jumping forward and doing a lot of damage. But considering the fact that Lyrics, oh, he's not actually level 8. I don't know where I read level 8 from. He'll be level 8 very shortly. And when that does hit, that's when Isuba can't actually make those plays as proactively, because the Heliogenesis minefield that can be set up is actually really devastating to anyone who wants to dive forward on top of Wintex.
It's definitely a situation for Isuba where now they have to be, like you said, a little bit more cautious. You have a risk of, when you do go in, of still getting caught out and just having a lot of damage turned back on you. Even though you have the advantage, it's not a massive lead that you've built up, but they still need to be aggressive, though. They can't just sort of fall into this passive hole of just always playing super defensive.
Whoop.
And they're not.
That's very, very hurtful. The fountain for Billy Mays just couldn't heal through that burst. That's the time where a fountain saved is probably the right cause. Artemis just gets destroyed. Oh, that's an ace! No! A Celeste spawns just as they make the kill, but that was a huge combination. The Ordained trapped Artemis on top of an Iron Cannon, and Fearsome Shade to finish the job. Turret over to Isuba. They've been playing their strengths of this early game very nicely. The Ringo and the Celeste just doesn't have what it takes to take out a Baron in the early game. Scoundrel said look for the mid-game power of the Ringo to see if he can do anything. Well, he's been set back so much. He is 0-3-0 with about 10 CS under the Baron. A full item under the Baron as the Tornado Trigger is not going to be completed for a while, and Papa Smurf is only about 800, 900 gold from finishing his third damage item.
Yeah, this is starting to look very, very scary for the side of Wintex. Isuba is approaching point. Once that third item does come out, And once Trazen gets himself the clockwork, that'll be the point where we want to see Isuba being more aggressive into the enemy jungle, and trying to take away some more camps, trying to take away that crystal sentry. They didn't do so in the previous game, despite having a very significant lead, but we'll see if they decide to do it this time around because they know how quickly they can take things. I mean, Papa Smurf, last time he jumped over wall, took out this Treant in just those 2 shots. He's going to steal it away once again. And this is starting to look very, very good for the side of Isuba.
Yeah, it certainly is. 200 gold now for that monocle. The tornado trigger from Artemis has been completed. It is pretty much just a full damage item advantage for this Baron. Very scary indeed. Lyrics, level 9 infusion is now burning. He is a decent chunk of gold away from hitting his broken myth. That's when the Celeste can start to ramp up a little bit. Isuba are very scary, and Wintex, you can see how scared they are of actually trying to do anything about it. Wouldn't be surprised if Papa Smurf looks to try and find his monocle very soon. May even push the wave up so that they have control over Goldminer. With this composition, they are a little bit more cautious of trying to take global objectives. It's going to be a Hellfire Brew breaking out. That was a good usage of the Heliogenesis. Oh god! Papa Smurf, just hesitation, and where was Goki's Fountain? Came out after he had died. That one Heliogenesis that went supernova on all 3 members needs to be panicked.
Man, definitely not the way you want to see Isuba playing around that the fight, but big damage starting to come out of the Celeste. Now with this gold miner going over, that's going to be a big gold payout for them. Again, the full gold miner almost evening up this gold all of a sudden. Wintex not looking too far behind anymore. Obviously, the kills still heavily favoring the side of Isuba, but only a 500 gold deficit or so. This is definitely still a game that Wintex can find their way back in if they can just find more situations like that where they can sort of catch Isuba out, catch them off guard, and force that sort of panic type of play. And as long as Artemis Grace and Lyrics can remain safe, obviously you have a Grace on your side, which can help with that in a big way, but it's just all going to be about smart rotations and strong vision control for the next 3 to 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, and this is why Isuba can't be being as proactive as they perhaps could have been in the previous game, is that they are still vulnerable. Yes, if they're aggressive, they are not. Goki was essentially the one at fault in that team fight. He split from his team. When you split up, your camera angle becomes a little bit hard to see the health bar. Papa Smurf really needed Goki at his side, especially if you're going to be playing this Protector Lyra, which Goki seems to have decided that's what he wants to do. So Isuba need to be on the same page. Synergy needs to be on point. They need to be rotating as one, especially against someone who can burst them like Lyrics. No minefield has been set up. Great damage onto Artemis. They dive forward, and that's going to be the kill going over to the Baron. Very nice play. But once more, a snipe comes through. That's Papa Smurf losing his life. Treason now going to retreat, throws out the bad mojo. Billy Mays, very tanky target when he has that Benediction shield up. Wow, the burst onto Papa Smurf perhaps needs to get himself a piece of shielding soon. Going towards this Tornado Trigger, which means that he won't have an item slot available for it.
Yeah, this is such a risky build path that Papa Smurf has gone down. It does a ton of damage, but as you just saw, you receive a ton of damage as well. So either they're going to have to focus on blowing up Lyrics, or there's going to need to be some defense coming out from Papa Smurf, because otherwise every single time they go in for a kill, that ultimate from Lyrics, once he gets a couple of broken myth stacks, are just going to chunk through Papa Smurf. I mean, it was pretty much just the ultimate that killed him in that last fight.
Yeah, Goki goes in. He's going to lay down the Atlas. Here comes Artemis Grace looking for it. Oh, huge fear! Treason with a godlike play. And that just shuts down everything. Both carries dead. It's only Billy Mays left alive here. This turret will fall down. They may even look to find another one. Goldminer does look pretty tasty, though. Isuba I think will perhaps go for the safer option than pushing the lane, take the backs, take the Crystal Sentry, maybe start up the Guild Miner.
And that was not only just a phenomenal fearsome shade coming out from Treason, but also Papa Smurf had some excellent positioning in that fight, jumping over the wall to be in a very defensive spot, but still just in range to fire off those rockets. But really MVP of that fight was that fearsome shade. Absolutely gorgeous, and allowing Isuba to take pretty much everything off the board in one fell swoop, finding a couple kills, taking the turret, taking a Crystal Sentry, as Billy Mays has to use the Crucible just to get himself out to safety because of that Ordained. So not an ideal situation whatsoever for Wintex. It's going to be 30 seconds of no Crucible available. The turret does get taken due to a heavy push from Artemis, but now that's going to be life traded for turret.
Yeah, it is going to be life traded for turret. They went for the gold miner thinking that they would just be able to take the gold miner and that would be the end of the story. A turret taken is a great trade for Wintex. They literally lose nothing and only gain as a team for that sacrifice by Artemis. It's really good play, and Isuba poor rotation. They may find a kill into Billy Mays. He's very tanky, seemingly happy to tank this all up. The Crystal Sentry will lose its second life though. Billy Mays still alive. Okay, finally goes down. It's going to be Isuba now trying to push this choke point turret. No, they are concerned about the Helogenesis. This is territory that you don't want to fight a Celeste. Such tight area and very easy to get hit by a Supernova proc.
So they wisely are going to back off. And again, yes, getting that turret was a very smart play from Artemis Grace, but it just unfortunately doesn't seem like it's going to be enough to get them back in this game once again. They've had a couple of plays that really did a good job towards bringing them into a competitive standing. The Solar Storm is going to come out. They thought that the Kraken might be started up. That's going to let them know that it isn't, but that's also going to be 40 seconds of no Solar Storm. Isuba could potentially try and take advantage of that, but doesn't look like they're really going to be keen on doing so as they're clearing out their backs and now going to be rotating on up. This is where they should be going in. Jump jets forward. Here we go. Oh my goodness.
Lyrics almost loses his life. Oh dear, Billy Mays goes back into the fight. Artemis now just getting destroyed, but the attack speed. Papa Smurf walks away. Thankfully, Goki was able to find the kill. There's the Helogenesis laying down fire. Goki moving forward, looking for Lyrics. Lyrics has his ultimate up in 2 seconds. Here's Papa Smurf straight into it, but the ace comes through the heels there as well. Papa Smurf able to tank that one up. Now it is going to be Kraken time. Papa Smurf should push the lane, get the turret, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And the Kraken and a turret means that this could just be the final push for Isuba.
That was actually a really nice play from Goki with the portals. It completely split Billy Mays off from the rest of the team. Billy Mays got sucked into that portal and put backwards towards the side of Isuba.
He actually stepped into it. Like, he didn't have to step into it. It was an error from Billy Mays. Like, not to take away from Goki, but if the portal doesn't land on top of you, then it's Billy Mays' error, and it's not necessarily a huge play by Goki, because Billy Mays could have avoided that.
It can be tough to avoid. For where it was in a really good spot where it was likely Billy Mays was going to end up walking into it, I feel. Obviously, you can still avoid it, but in the end, it split Billy Mays up from the rest of the team. There was no healing or utility available to the 2 carries, and Isuba just took full advantage. Fire Brew going to come out. Looks like they want to fight.
Oh, God. That was a great Crucible, but man, he still goes down. Artemis is just in the middle of the fight. Lyrics needs to move forward. Just let him go down. Billy Mays does go in. Taking down the Baron. Maybe they can stop the harass that they take. Now that's a good portal. See, because where else can Billy Mays go other than into the portal? That is Goki making a great play. And now without the captain here, with only just Lyrics running out of energy, this is going to be Isuba looking to find the win here. Turret goes down. Lyrics just can't do enough damage, and Isuba will take the game. And it comes back to what I said before the draft started. If you ban Idris and the other team can just first pick Baron, then you've just taken away your main Baron killing machine.
Double kill.
Yep, unfortunately for Wintex, not going to be able to find this one. Despite a very strong game number 1, they do end up falling in the end. But thankfully for them, they are not out of this tournament. It is double elimination, so they will just be dropping down to the elimination bracket. We saw last split, Team Queso got knocked down in first round and made it all the way to the top 3. So there is still hope available to a team like Wintex. If you get dropped down, you can still make it all the way through. It is not unheard of.
No, it is not Tasty Bacon. Wintex can still come through, can still make it into the losers bracket, the playoff bracket. Like we said, we've seen that before. Team Queso, I believe, made it all the way to number 3 last split from coming from the losers bracket after having lost in maybe the first or the second round. Dalsy, I think it was very early on for Team Queso last time.
It was first round, and it was to eSuper as well.
And it was to eSuper. Very, very fitting as eSuper take the win here against Wintex. Now we are going to be moving on to our next series of the day. That means we're going to jump to a very short break, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be bringing you up next 90 Degrees versus THN Envy. So it's going to be a really good series. Stick around. We'll be back soon. Haha, we just baited you. It's actually, the teams are unbelievably ready before the time limit. So we are going to get going as soon as we can. Now, before we jump in, I just want to show you what's coming up here for the split this time round as I try and get this sorted. Nope, I need to refresh. Don't worry, guys. I will just tell
Seems
you.
like you
about it.
debated yourself,
I
Excalibur.
debated myself because what I did have was a screen where I could tell you guys about the prizes for this Challenger series, including the amazing first prize for the winners of the VGL Summer Split 2 to go and essentially fight live versus the winners of the VIS Challenger series, which is basically the American version of VGL. So the North American Challenger winners versus the European Challengers winners in a battle in a live tournament at the Unified Western Live Championships. It is a massive prize for a Challenger team to win this time round. Now, teams are ready for draft. We are going to get in as soon as we physically can, because it's always nice to get things going early if we can do that. And it happens to be the case that we are there. I do need to quickly update, because I debated myself with the overlays, so I'm going to quickly let Dalsy talk while I sort that out.
No worries. Well, we are jumping into draft as well here, so I can kind of give you a visual vocabulary of words.
Just
I
so
don't
you
know
know,
what I'm saying
guys,
here,
they can see what's going on.
they can.
I got the team names wrong.
Oh, okay, no worries. Well, it is, of course, 90 degrees on the A side, THN Envy on the B side, Baron, Grace, Band, a first pick Vox here. Seems like a very North American draft, with the Vox being prioritized as a first pick or ban.
Yeah, I have undebated the stream now, and we have got 90 degrees on the left side and THN Envy on the right side. It's no longer Esuva and Wintex, as that was the series that we just completed. Yes, it is Baby Groot. I believe Baby Groot does... I don't know which one of them plays lane, but I know...
I'm pretty sure it's Groot in lane, part 2 in jungle.
Yeah. I know that Vodka, whenever I play with Vodka, he's a laner, but I guess he'll be potentially running the roam for 90 degrees here. I know that Baby Groot is a very, very dedicated Vox player, so...
Yeah.
I
remember that. From last split as well, we talked about teams just banning his Vox to try and get rid of it.
Yeah. So he's going to be on that, secured in. THN Envy, a team that I think's changed up a little bit since the last time we saw them, Dowsy. I believe the last time we saw them was in Spring Split. The last time we streamed these guys, they featured a couple of times on the stream. I do believe the roster has been shaken up a bit here, though, and they are going to pick out a Ringo again in lane, something that has been... We're seeing a little bit more and more of here in the VGL Challenger Series. It's classically always been a good pick into Vox because of the range advantage that he has, but I don't know, man. Like, I just don't think lane matchups matter that much anymore because of Bookie Eulogy's 9-guard contract. It makes the process of laning so easy. Like,
I would be very surprised if we see a Bookie Eulogies in lane though.
No, I know, but like a lane matchups can really be alleviated. Well, actually, no, you probably might see it on Vox.
You usually see a Swift Shooter and a Weapon Blade, but he is going to go at this time. It just, I guess, with the Book of Eulogies, you are so safe. Oh God, Excoundrel! No way! Before you leave, look at.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
It's CP Ringo from the jungle.
In jungle.
I got with these guys in my team the other day, and they fed like crazy. So good luck, have fun, THN.
Wow. Tasty. CP Ringo jungle for Spyro.
My thoughts on CP Ringo in general.
That was your thoughts, wasn't it?
Fairly well known. In
what
the
about
jungle,
from the jungle though? Like that changes everything.
It changes pretty much nothing. In fact, it makes it even worse because you get less gold, so your items come online even later, and you're doing even less damage. So I am not a fan of this, not by any stretch. Again, we've seen it work, but not very frequently.
Yeah, I know. Perhaps this invade could shut it down. I think if you're Baby Group Part 2, though, you see that it's going to be a CP Ringo in the jungle. You just switch to the weapon power route, don't you, on the Samuel, and that kind of counters it. Kappa 1, 2, 3. They're going further here, looking for a kill, pushing them back. Any damage they do to the side of TH and Envy is great because as this healing camp respawns, they just have priority over taking it. They might even find a kill. No, the minion wave does body block the Malice and Verdicts, but the healing camp should come up in just a second here. They should be able to take away the backs as well, just really deny the gold onto the CP Ringo.
Yeah, and this is another reason why the CP Ringo struggles, especially in the jungle, is what are you going to do? Like, how do you stop someone who from stealing away your entire jungle? You don't have like that massive burst. You don't have a lot of pressure to put down early on. It's just you kind of just have to watch it and just watch it get taken. Hopefully, try and steal it with a basic attack or with an Achilles shot. But now with the Ancient Treant going over, it's going to get body blocked, so no steal comes through. That's at least some good news. But a nice, again, this pressure from Baby Groot Part 2 and from Vodka. They could very likely just push in and steal away these backs once more, but it doesn't look like they're going to be going for that this time around.
This is a very interesting game to think about. Yeah, I don't know what my thoughts are, to be honest, other than I think that I would rather have the composition of 90 degrees. Poison Shiv completed for Baby Groot here. Spyro's got himself some more crystal power, of course. Andy hasn't had his chance to back yet. I'm thinking after he pushes this wave, that will be the call to go back and try and purchase some items. Yeah, there he goes. Fox into Kestrel is an interesting matchup because if you go a Glimmer Shot build, Fox can kind of dodge the Glimmer Shots and that negates a lot of your damage. So I think if I was Andy, I would be heading towards more of an attack, auto attack orientated build. So Breaking Point and perhaps a Tornado Trigger. And that way you kind of have the backup that if Baby Groot is good at dancing, then you can kind of just shoot his feet off.
And shooting off his feet would be a good way to stop him from being able to dance around so much. But for now, they're just going to be putting pressure onto this turret. And I like this move here. Not even necessarily looking for the kills, just saying, you know what, while we have the opportunity, we're just going to put damage onto this turret, get it as low as we can, maybe find some damage onto our opponents if we can, and makes this next push in that much more dangerous as Andy, very close to going down.
Yeah, this turret's taking a beating. Here comes Spyro to try and balance the cards a little bit, but he gets ordained, and that would be the end of that one. 90 degrees can fall back if they please to. Vodka is very low on energy. Baby Groot could go get himself some HP. Maybe part 2, sorry. The original is going to push this wave in here. Perhaps just walk away now that Spyro showed his face.
Well, that's exactly what they're going to do. One more push onto this turret will take it down. It is extremely low. Excellent job. He'll by the side of... I just completely drew a blank on their name. But by the Baby Groots and Vodka to get pressure onto that turret. And like I said, setting themselves up to be able to take it down very, very quickly. One more minion wave should be all that they need to get that first turret taken care of, that first objective, that first infusion of gold into their pockets. As TH and Envy, they're going to be rotating up to try and stop this from happening. But it may be a futile effort. And here we go.
Yeah, this turret will go down in just a second. They're looking for a kill. Oh, that Malice and Verdict snipes. Baby Groot does take the Hellfire Brew to the face. He's burning away a little bit here. Not quite got the CP yet for that to really be affecting him. Now, we saw this in the Challenger series that despite the fact you may block the ultimate, the huge chunk of damage that you get hit makes things very difficult for you. And so without a healer as your captain, you're really relying on a fountain to keep yourself alive. Baby Groot, of course, has that Poison Shiv, so has a bit of self-healing. Part 2 has the Malice and Verdict, and so can heal himself through that. The Drifting Dark as well, and an Evo Harvest eventually. But if, I guess, Dorcas lands a clutch gauntlet into a Hellfire Brew, and they could blow up a single target, and TH and Envy can then look to try and win the fight via that.
It's exactly what they're probably going to be looking to do. I would assume it just makes the most sense for them, for TH and Envy, to try and look for those sorts of opportunities. But as of right now, both of these Baby Groots starting to come online. You got 2 items for the Vox. Obviously, the Frostburn completed on Samuel, makes him a much larger threat as well. That little bit of a slow coming out very rapidly makes it difficult to get away, especially when there's a Batiste on their side as well. It's a lot of lockdown potential with those two heroes working in tandem. And Vox is going to be looking to build up. Ooh, that gold miner very nearly got stolen. But it does go over to Vodka securing it. And now with a slight little gold lead, about 2,000 gold in their favor. That turret down, a gold payout, and the first blood bonus all going their way. This is just going to be Baby Groot's looking to continue applying pressure through the lane and the jungle simultaneously. That's the thing I've liked the most about the way that they've been playing this game, is that they'll rotate up to the lane, put some pressure on there, and then rotate down, usually as a team, to try and put pressure into the jungle as well. It's really denying a lot of gold from THN Envy.
I have to say the thing that disappoints me most about 90 Degrees gameplay is that their team name has nothing to do with Guardians of the Galaxy. It triggers me. You've already triggered me by the fact that I have to cast 2 Baby Groots. You might as well give me the added benefit of saying a really cool name for a movie series that I love dearly. But here we go. We are pushing in, looking for this turret, and he's almost dead. The gauntlet will keep him alive. That's going to be the Hellfire Brood blocked up. Baby Groot part 2 though, very low, but the kill does go over to Baby Groot. Oblivion doesn't quite find a target, but look at how low Andy is. Spyro, I think, really can't do enough damage to the 90 Degrees roster to be able to go in and try and kill part 2 here. I wonder if they do try and take this turret. Everyone's back up, healed up. Turret taking a lot of damage. Baby Groot doing the work as part 2 lays down these Malice and Verdicts. Almost finding the kill onto the turret, but the minion wave does deplete. So they'll have to come back and attempt that another day.
Again, getting it down to this point where just one more solid push should be enough to take it out. And that's really all you have to do when you have that situation where only one member is down and there's still 2 left alive to defend the turret. If you can just get it low enough so that your next push will take it down, that's a win. You haven't had to find a whole lot of progress in terms of finding kills to make that happen, but you're still going to be taking these objectives. You're still going to be increasing your lead, increasing the amount of pressure you're able to put out on the map. And 90 Degrees have just been continuously applying said pressure. 2 kills, you look up at the scoreboard and say, oh, it's only 2 kills. It's not that big of a deal. But they've taken so much control of the map that they're much farther ahead than just what the scoreboard shows. And you can see that starting to be reflected in the fact that they have a 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, they've got a huge gold lead right now. This turret does go down. That's going to be Andy taken on out as well. Fountain doesn't keep him alive. Probably could have used with it a little bit earlier. Baby Groot's farm has been pretty much on point. 120 at 1020. He has been doing an excellent job, and these control over the jungle of Spyro has really helped for it. Part 2 blocks up the Hellfire Brood, but here comes the second one. Does Vodka have his Crucible up? No, he does not. So the Fountain will be popped to keep himself alive. That's the Echo coming through. One shot, though! You just can't get a break in part 2. That will be the kill finally going over. The first kill of the game to THN Envy.
Yeah, it was actually a little bit of a mistake there by 90 Degrees. It was actually both the Reflex block and the Crucible getting used simultaneously on the first Hellfire Brew. You can see the cooldowns on them are just about identical. So it was definitely a mistake from 90 Degrees. If they just coordinate that better, only use one of them on the first one, then the second Hellfire Brew also gets blocked, and Baby Groot Part 2 ends up surviving, most likely. The other reason why I heavily dislike a CP Ringo is not only is it directly countered by just having good use of Reflex Block and Crucible, but if you also just pick up a Slumbering Husk on top of it, you can let the first Hellfire Brew hit you, then your Slumbering Husk pretty much blocks almost all the damage. And then you Reflex Block the second Hellfire Brew when it comes up from the Echo, And then you still have a Crucible available for something like the Gauntlet or anything that you need it for. And CP Ringo is just kind of left out in the dry with nothing to do, no impact to be had. So, 2 items where most heroes are perfectly fine building 2 defensive items, and your entire strategy and composition with this CP Ringo is completely countered out. That's one of the reasons why I feel it is so weak and such a poor idea to try and make work.
Yeah, it's really hard, I guess, to build Slumbering Husk into a weapon power Kestrel, but we'll have to see how 90 Degrees do deal with it. I think the biggest point was then the previous time they did use both Crucible and Reflex. That's going to be this time just a Reflex used up. Part 2 is going to sustain a little bit. Here comes the second one. This one's onto Baby Groot. That's going to be Crucible used. Now they're in the middle of a fight, but with the Fearsome Shade, they can't really do anything. Baptiste counters Arden. You throw a Ordained down, and he gets knocked out of his ultimate pretty much instantly. Great play by 90 Degrees. And, if we ignore the fact there's a CP Ringo on the team, Vox probably better than Ringo currently in the meta. Already mentioned it, Baptiste with the Ordained can stop the Gauntlet from being dropped, or if the Gauntlet does get dropped, the Fearsome Shade can run him right out of it. And then Samuel's really strong as well, and so I feel like TH and Envy probably going to have to go back to the drawing board and perhaps think of something else other than a CP Ringo to win a series.
Well, right now, 5-1 again. The kills aren't really a massive advantage for 90 Degrees, but they don't need to be. And while it's maybe not as exciting for a viewer to see games that don't have a ton of kills, it's really exciting, I think, for us to see teams that are able to find these huge advantages and these huge objective leads without getting a lot of kills, because it does mean that their rotational play, their decision making, just their positioning throughout the entire game has been on point. And I really have been liking the movements that 90 Degrees have been making throughout this game, choosing their opportunities to go in, and when they want to look for these fights, when they want to pressure turrets. It's been really, really nice. And unfortunately for TH and Envy, they just haven't really been able to push back against this.
One shot could steal this. They are not blocking this at all. I think that they're going to get stolen. All right. Andy, there it is. You need to walk up. You need to clear the area. You have flares in your inventory, Vodka. I guess it is unlikely that a scout trap has been put onto the gold miner, but still, let's respect our opponents and clear out vision, because that's ways to win the game. You're up against a Kestrel who's going to attempt to make a steal, even if she doesn't necessarily know exactly the health bar of the gold miner. That was poor play there by 90 Degrees. Here comes a Hellfire Brew straight onto Baby Groot. Doesn't get blocked. Here's the Gauntlet. Vodka will run away, but he gets stuck inside it. He's going to take another one. Fountain pops. Too aggressive. That Fearsome Shade knocks Andy into the wall as Silence goes out, but Baby Groot is almost dead here. TH and Envy have just executed so well on a lot of disrespect. The one shot, unfortunately, for Andy won't find a target. The Kraken could just be started up here. They're not going to go for it. I feel like that's a mistake with... Oh, they don't have alternating current. Okay, Spyro doesn't. He's just going burst. Is he going to build a second Shadow Glass? Is that a thing?
It's a thing when you're relying all of your damage on coming out from the Hellfire Brew, I suppose. That's really the only thing that they're looking to do. I mean, yes, even if it gets reflex blocked, they'll have a ton of damage still hitting through the reflex block. You're not going to get the burn, which is, personally, I feel the strongest factor of the Hellfire Brew. But that initial burst seems to be what they want to really rely on. But here comes 90 Degrees.
Straight on top of Andy. He is dead. Spyro now needs to run away. That's a very difficult thing to do against this roster. Looks like Dorcas will lose his life. It's a double there for Baby Groot. And with a minion wave pushing in, they can look to finish off this game. Hellfire Brew onto Vodka, blocked. Hellfire Brew not echoed. means there's not going to be another one coming out.
Echo's not available.
Echo's not available, yep. Now Spyro, he is stuck in an ordained war, but they're just focusing down the turret here. They're going to take the turret down. They're going to ignore the Ringo, who has no damage output now. They're going to finish off this game. Unless Andy finds a kill, or he's going for not the main damage dealer onto the Kraken, the turret, onto the crystal. You know, one of the objectives. That's a win over
We'll get there eventually. Yeah, just the CP Ringo, especially out of the like it requires a ton of gold. That's the one of the other issues with the CP Ringo build is you need to have so much gold being funneled onto this Ringo for it to stay relevant. Putting it in the jungle just completely removes any sort of threat that this Ringo is going to be able to output. Really had a tough time being involved in this game in any meaningful way, and hopefully TH and Envy will rethink this draft. The draft I don't even think was necessarily the issue. You could have easily just put the Kestrel in the jungle as the crystal power and have Ringo be weapon power in the lane, and I feel like you have a much better chance. But unfortunately, that was not the case for them.
I think most of us sensible people, Tasty Bacon, felt like the weapon power Ringo was the way to go in the lane. But again, you know, TH and Envy trying to pilot the CP jungle Ringo, it's very difficult to make work. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. CP Ringo requires a large amount of gold to make relevant. He requires at least 3 items before he comes online. You know, realistically in the late game, he's a bit of a powerhouse in the late game. If you buy alternating current, you go full CP, he can be pretty devastating, but it's getting there is the problem for CP Ringo. From the jungle, though, I mean, you have to be looking to capitalize at level 6 when and then just, I guess, anticipate that they don't have reflex blocks to try and get some sort of snowball going. Not a big fan. Not a big fan, Dalsy.
And you know, let's just ignore the CP Ringo for a second. Andy's weapon power Kestrel build just didn't allow for him to do damage in team fights because he went down the Kestrel, the Glimmer Shot route. You have a Samuel, a Vox, and a Batiste running at you. You're not really ever in your right mind going to stand still and throw Glimmer Shots at them. You're going to have to run away. So that's where stutter stepping and having a more attack speed ramp up with a breaking point build allows for consistent damage output. And you kind of see in games like this, pros do switch over to that build just to have relevant damage.
Yeah, I think he was going towards Tornado Trigger, and if he had managed to get that and wasn't so far behind, like earlier in the game, wouldn't have even been so bothered by the build, because Tornado Trigger does give you the leniency to go for some more basic attack focused gameplay. But alas, we are into the next draft already. I like it. Both these teams willing and ready to get these games underway ASAP. And it is going to be up now to THN to first pick. They could pick Vox away from Baby Groot, give that over to Andy potentially here. Dalsy, wonder if that will be the case.
Yeah, very interesting to see if they will prioritize that Vox or if they're going to just go for a captain player. Vox does get locked in. Good recognition of the fact that that is Baby Groot's best hero. And it's not to say Baby Groot can't play other things. He has been successful in other heroes in the past as well. But, you know, he has been excellent on Vox.
And it looks like some hover suggestions coming out from Vodka between the Kestrel and an Idris, but they're going to lock in the Batiste and the Kestrel once more. Vodka will be given that Batiste, you imagine. Obviously can make flexes, but you wouldn't really pick anything like a Koshka at this point now, because both Captain and Jungle Batiste are pretty good at shutting that Koshka down in the early game. Lyra comes out for THN. I like Lyra. She's very strong right now. Like, I mean, you can do some ridiculous healing in the late game with your Sigil if you play it right and build right. And now it's up to Andy to round this one out. Whoa, I like this a lot. This puts a timer for 90 degrees here. We know how good Scarf is in the late game, Dalsy.
Yeah, no, it's a nice pick. They need something that can get on top of it, assassinate the Scarf. Looks like it is going to be a jungle pick now locked in, so that indicates that it's going to be weapon power Kestrel, not a CP Kestrel, unless they pick up Idris now, and then they will switch that over to the jungle. So that's going to be, I believe, a Idris coming through in the lane, Kestrel in the jungle for Baby Groot Part 2. And now they have an assassination threat. They have a range threat of the CP Kestrel and a Batiste to kind of turn engages their own way, Scoundrel.
Yeah, I think if I were to analyze this composition from 90 degrees, I would like to see them Wait a second, I thought it was Samuel locked in. Well, no, they've got Idris now. I like Idris. I love Baby Groot on. I love this even better. I was about to say I don't like it as much with the Samuel. I love it with the Idris and CP Kestrel. They can snowball this game like crazy, and they have that potential to threaten Scarf throughout the game with the weapon power Idris on Groot. Very, very nice pickups here for 90 degrees, and I think I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm going to hand it over to Darcy and Tasty Bacon.
Thank you very much. Is that the orange scarf skin there, Tasty Bacon? The sparkler one? Because that is very cool. I've never seen the orange one in game before, and the green wings make me want to play it.
So I'm actually a big fan of the green sparkler scarf. This one does look pretty nice though. Like the green and blue wings makes a nice little contrast. Typically, you see the gold sparkler if someone's going to be running the sparkler scarf.
He should have went purple just because his name is Spyro. Missed out on a joke there, I guess, but let's be serious. This is Challenger Series Tasty Bacon. This isn't time for references and Marvel. It is time for Vainglory and gameplay. Baby Groot on Idris here is a very fun skill matchup into the Vox. Against the Scarf, though, that's your main target. You ignore the Vox in team fights. You take down the Scarf as quickly as possible, and then you turn your attention to the Vox. We'll have to see how they do play it. A bit of a fight in the jungle here as Baby Groot Part 2 pushes back Dorcas, though takes a goop to the face. Now will be them taking over control of the middle of the map here. Will they be able to get the crystal, the central treant? Yep, they are. So that's just going to be given up to them.
Yeah, Ancient Treant picked up easily. Again, get you a little bit of an edge in the early game. Not anything that's going to be game-changing, but you want every little advantage you can. If you keep building those up, it eventually leads to something that is game-changing. And so, for now, just going to be 90 degrees, looking to find control in the jungle. You need to try and shut down the Scarf. This is something that we've been talking about a lot recently because Scarf has been seeing more and more play, where the early game, a lot of teams have not been able to find the way to stop the Scarf from getting his farm. They haven't been able to slow down Scarf in the jungle, and that's something that really needs to be done. And 90 degrees thus far have not been putting a ton of emphasis onto doing that. Vodka just now rotating down.
Yeah, no, it is going to be a good ordained, but Baby Groot Part 2 is in a lot of trouble here. Is forced to disengage. Glimmer shots, though, find the kill! They thought they could take down Vodka. They thought that the CP Kestrel was no longer an issue. That is first blood over. A bit of a misstep there by Spyro. And it is going to be another Ancient Treant for the side of 90 degrees.
That's one thing you can really never do, is think that a CP Kestrel is no longer an issue. It can reappear at any time because of how long the active camo duration is. And you never know if you're going to be standing on a active camo trap later on in the game as well, unless you have vision of exactly where you're standing. So really nice job there by side of 90 degrees to get themselves that kill and continue to gain small advantages in the jungle. It hasn't amounted to a whole lot. If you look at the gold differential, it's only a couple hundred in their favor, pretty much because of that first blood bonus. But again, they can just continue to keep that pressure on. They will be able to continue to build that lead.
Yeah, you certainly will be able to, as Baby Groot is starting to build towards himself a Sorrow Blade. Look at this aggressive positioning from Part 2. As he lays down a lot of damage. Of course, Dorcas on this Kestrel can heal them up a little bit. When the CP Kestrel just keeps raining glimmer shots, it makes things so difficult. Has a double energy battery, and oh, they are just keeping the siege up. Andy, very low. Spyro is forced to just sideline it, but somehow Part 2 gets tagged by a Spitfire. And that might just be the end of this siege for the sides of 90 degrees as they finish up clearing this wave and head back to base to shop up.
Well, pushing in onto that turret, they weren't really able to get much work done. This is a big opportunity for TH and Envy as they see these recalls coming through. They're not going to. Well. Yeah, nice double cancel. They can try and push in, but are they going to steal away anything? No, Baby Groot Part 2 gets the tree, and now all of a sudden, 90 degrees, they may just look to try and turn this back around.
I think they've overextended here. Dorcas is in trouble. Baby Groot Part 1 is finding the kill. Does lose his life in the end. Vodka just hasn't had the chance to be able to buy his fountain yet due to the double cancel and the recalls. A trade there, who got the kill? It was Spyro. Not really the target you want to get the kill, I guess, but getting Baby Groot, the gold on this Idris is really good for them because they can try and snowball his item build into the place it needs to be able to have assassination threat against this Scarf.
And so, a slight mistake from TH and Envy there, going a little bit too aggressive after canceling the recalls. You got to figure if they just either A, let those recalls go through in that particular instance. Oh, Dorcas is going to be in some trouble here. One shot, not going to connect with. Either A, let those recalls go through, or B, cancel the recalls, but then don't go pushing up aggressively. Let them just recall a little bit further down the lane. And then you can push in and take, almost very likely end up taking that turret because they had minions about to crash into it. But instead, TH and Envy, they canceled the recalls and then continued to push forward as if they were looking for a team fight. And they got that team fight, but it was not the end result that they were looking for.
Yeah, not quite. Lots of damage coming out from this Scarf as Spyro, with his Frostburn now starting to do a little bit of work. You have to make sure you're dodging that Spitfire. It stacks up, then that is a lot of trouble, especially considering you're up against a Lyra here. You have no sustain to your kit, whereas the opposition does. See that Baby Groot's going to be getting himself a Poison Shiv as his second item. One shot connects onto Andy. That might be enough to push back TH and Envy as the Glimmer shot's doing work. That's an Ordained catching Andy. Fountain pops out to keep him alive. We need to see a bit more aggression, I think, from Baby Groot. Could have been a kill. He was positioned in a way to dive towards Andy as he got caught.
Both teams still posturing up here in the lane. So we could still see another fight break out, but 90 Degrees going to eventually back off of this one as they want to get to the shop. That's going to be the long-range Lyra attack. Travels all the way back to that choke point turret before finally connecting. And but still, it's just going to be both of these teams jockeying for position. Obviously, the side of TH and Envy, they are more than happy for this pace of game because it's allowing Spyro to get himself farmed up. He's only got the Frostburn for now, so obviously still needs quite a bit of time before he's going to have a massive impact in this game. But there hasn't been a ton of pressure being put out by 90 Degrees thus far, and those Spitfires are still going to hurt against these squishier targets.
Oh yeah, certainly will. They will hurt a massive amount against the entirety of the enemy team. That's a good Ordained onto Andy. Where's the follow-up though? Baby Groot needs to be diving forward. Need to be playing this Idris aggressively. There's no reason not to be into this composition. You have an early lead. You have the Poison Shiv as well. Always frustrating to see a good catch just go unrewarded. Fountain though is finally popped. Vodka can heal up the damage that's been done to him. Unfortunately for part 2 he won't be able to, but landing these Glimmer shots onto Andy certainly helps. Now they are onto the turret. Can look to try and take it down. Once more Vodka with a chance to kill Andy but doesn't go for it. Makes me think that perhaps his Idris isn't as practiced as it needs to be into the competitive scene. As he's not really looking for assassinations. He's kind of just hoping that they get whittled down to 0 HP before he is forced to go aggressively into their composition.
And it also requires the team effort, though. It's not, while yes, Baby Groot should be.
Well, that's the problem is that his team have set him up for kills and he's not taking them. That's the team is doing the effort. Yep. He's not.
Well, either way, it is going to be caught out a bit here, perhaps. But where's the rest of TH and Envy? They weren't here to follow up either.
No.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like they're just the side of 90 Degrees are looking for this more poke-oriented, harass, get them low, and then maybe look for a fight. But I definitely agree with that. They need to be a little bit more proactive right now. Got Andy low. They don't want to go diving under the turret yet, though. And especially with Vodka being nowhere near the team, had rotated down to the shop. getting a little bit of chip damage on the turret. Andy is so low. Will get the heal from the sigil, courtesy of Dorcas.
Oh, they
but now
found Spyro in
Dorcas
the
low on
jungle.
energy.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, I was watching Dorcas and Andy. Didn't even see Spyro get caught out heavily. Now Goldminer is going to go the way of 90 degrees.
Yeah, Dorcas will look for a steal, I think, with a sigil. Doesn't find it though. Maybe wasted the waste for it as well for that. Fountain is up. I think they're going to go back here. This could have been a turret take. A little bit surprised that that they didn't send part 2 up to lane. Idris can just finish this off by himself. And I think he will be able to as well. So it's going to work out great for 90 degrees. They find themselves up by 3,000 gold here. Though this game does become a little bit harder as we start etching into the around the 5-minute mark, or 15-minute mark, sorry. Part 2's vision will be shut down as the contraption is being built. Means he may be spotted a little bit easier. And Baby Groot does have his full Idris build, the tension bow, his final item. We have to see if he will make moves, because as soon as Fountain goes down, there we go, that's the moves. That could have happened all game. Great to see that he starts to realize he can do it. Was waiting on that tension bow, it seems, not that it was necessary. And the fact that he has awakened, realized that he has this assassination threat is very good for 90 degrees, because that was kind of the one thing that was holding me back from saying that 90 degrees are in an excellent position, because if you're not executing on your power, then are you in an excellent position? I guess time will tell. Another siege breaking out. Dorcas just trying to tank up all the damage. Fountain is used. As soon as the fountain's used, this is great timing. This is where you can make a kill very easily. Andy is so low. Just need to get this Minuet pushed up to the turret.
And for Baby Groot, I think a lot of that, the lack of aggression was just not feeling comfortable with the damage that had been built already. So, like you said, has that tension bow completed. You know, we know that it wasn't necessarily required for him to be able to play that aggressive style, but obviously the player feeling much more comfortable with that 3rd offensive item completed. It's a lot of times it is just a mental thing. You know, once you have those 3 offensive items, you feel like, okay, now I'm online. Now I can make these fights happen. Even though you probably could have been doing it before, it can be tough to get past that mental block of, you know, not being ready to fight until you have all of your offensive items completed. And so 90 degrees, as long as they do continue to play to these winning conditions, you know, use a little bit of burst damage, use this Crystal Kestrel to get some chip damage done, and then just dive in deep. They can find team fights pretty regularly. And now with Baby Groot Part 2 rotating up, looks like they may be looking for something, but one shot doesn't connect. Still posturing as if they want to fight.
They need to clear out this vision in the lane. Spyro there takes a lot of damage. Dorcas will heal him back up. Try and clear out this vision so that they have full knowledge of where Part 2 can position safely. That's going to be Spyro caught in the Ordained. Where's Baby Groot? Needs to dive in once that Ordained goes down. Force that Scarf into it. It's going to be a kill though going over to Part 2 as Groot looks for a kill onto Dorcas. Now turns his attention to Spyro. Looks like that Spyro is going to go down easily. And 90 degrees are just so far ahead of their competition that even though they're not necessarily executing on the minuscules, it just doesn't matter. They've got a 5,000 gold lead. They're going to take that to 6,000 here at the 14-minute mark. And the Scarf, this time, Tasty Bacon, I agree with your analysis of Eve maybe not the best item as your secondary, because the side of TH and Envy have been forced to teamfight this entire game. And so having that broken myth could have been the difference of making some damage stick.
Yeah, and I think the even bigger surprise is not only going for the broken myth 3rd, but not even having the piercing spear, whereas that's generally built before anything else. Like you usually get Frostburn, then the piercing spear, and then go into finishing off that 2nd item regardless of what it is. So not having any sort of pierce makes it very difficult to get the damage onto Baby Groot, who has the Aegis completed. Obviously, Baby Groot Part 2 doesn't have the defensive items. That's because the Crystal Kestrel staying so far back and not really being in any sort of danger of taking too much damage. So Spyro really just going to be struggling for a while here until that item gets finished. Dorcas eats a one-shot, is just going to immediately heal it right up with a sigil, but Baby Groot and the rest of 90 Degrees looking to work on this gold miner. The last one before Kraken, as they do manage to get that immense gold payout just before Kraken rises up out of her pit and makes her presence felt on the fold.
Yeah, very slow gameplay from 90 Degrees. It's typical, I guess, of European challenges, though. Everyone likes to play very safely and then look to execute when there's like zero chance of them losing team fights. Of course, does play into the opposition's win conditions, who are trying to turtle the game desperately. And right now, if this Kraken up, you are desperately looking for a team fight if you are 90 Degrees. In fact, part 2 says that. Here's the wall treads popped. Dorcas a little bit caught out. Spyro in the Ordained, and Dorcas almost loses his life. He's going to get focused down this Lyra as Baby Groot follows the portal, takes down their healing. That's going to be the 2 carries walked away from the team fight. Now, 90 Degrees can turn and look for the Kraken. There's no healer, there's no vision. A very risky base check if you are Andy or Spyro.
Well, an excellent lead, really continuing to grow for the side of 90 Degrees. Kraken is going to be unleashed with no opposition in sight. And 90 Degrees with this objective to be able to push down the lane. Only 3 turrets still standing for the side of TH and Envy. Is looking more and more like the side of 90 Degrees should be able to finish this one off. All they need is one more fight, and that will be game over. Vodka moving up aggressively with Baby Groot Part 2. There's some good vision down, so that Baby Groot Part 2 is going to have a little bit of a difficult time getting set up as this Kestrel, but maybe they don't even need that. Lots of damage already going out.
And that's a great Ordained. Now they need to look for the team fight. The Bright Bulwark, Baby Groot jumps into it. The Fearsome Shade doesn't connect. This turret is doing a little bit of work, but they're tanking down their opposition. Need to finish this turret so that Vodka doesn't lose his life. Part 2 tries to snipe a dragon. One shot won't connect with him. Now the Kraken pushing in is at a decent health. Andy takes a big chunk. Baby Groot finishing the turret off on this Idris. TH and Envy need to team fight. They need to find a fight now. They need to go for the kills, but they just can't do it. This Kraken is so healthy, and there goes Baby Groot into the middle of the team fight. A great Dragon's Breath may be able to burn 2 alive. In fact, that should be a double kill. No, Vodka's still alive for now. The Kraken and Part 2 have taken down the Vein Crystal, and it was just too little too late from TH and Envy, realizing that their back was truly up against the wall. And a victory over to 90 Degrees to take the series.
And again, just finding their momentum, finding their stride. Once they felt comfortable with their item builds, 90 Degrees really just turned it on even harder. Spyro really unable to have much of an effect in either of these games. Just kind of got shut down a bit in the jungle. Wasn't allowed to get the build path that, or the build itemization that you really want on a Scarf to have an impact. Game 1, the Ringo just didn't work out for him either. Just an unfortunate situation in the jungle there for Spyro in this series.
And Excoundrel, excellent win for 90 Degrees. I still think there's a lot of things to work on. You know, it may seem harsh of me criticizing the winning team of the series, but Game 1 was kind of gifted to them. Game 2, I think, probably could have been finished maybe 3-4 minutes earlier if they had really put pedal to the metal. But yeah, no, good stuff, and they do progress to the next round.
Absolutely, and as it stands, we are still currently waiting for our next round. We are just waiting to see if it all gets sorted. I think it will be... actually, I've been told, I have been told what our next series will be. It'll be Black Painters versus Ovidio, the 24th versus the 25th seed. So the bottom end of our seeding table, but it is an elimination match. It does mean a lot to both the teams competing. So we're going to get that one underway and sorted, which means we'll cut to a very short break. And then we'll be back with this game all set up and ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? Welcome back to the VGL Summer Split 2. The score is not E1. It says the score's
You
E1.
had so much time to get it right.
I know. Anyway, look, I'm going to jump straight into draft between Black Painters and a Video Gaming. They look like they want to get going. So they're telling me go in chat, which means go, go, go. And we will get this underway. This is an elimination match. Loser is out of the tournament, and that is a tough pill to swallow on your first day of the VGL Summer Split, Darcy. Yep,
and unfortunately, it's not just these two teams who are facing it, but others. These are just the ones that are doing it with the added stress, Scoundrel, of being broadcast to the many. Or privilege, I guess it just depends on how you look at it, how your anxiety is. Baron first ban. It looks like a Grumpjaw is going to be banned out here by a Video Gaming. Leaves the Grace and the Lyra open, and I suspect that we'll see both of them. However, Vox being hovered, and maybe teams starting to realize that Vox first pick is much more effective for them.
It's been an adaptation, as we've seen throughout the night. Like you said, a very North American style of drafting here in the VGL over the last few games, but Vox is a very popular carry in the lane, has very few incredibly poor matchups, and scales quite nicely into the late game, so it's a pretty safe pick if you want to get that early on. Arden will be focused down here, and there will also be a Kestrel being considered here by a Video Gaming. They're going to get the Kestrel and the Arden on this rotation. Tasty Bacon. Where can Black Painters go from here?
And they've got a whole lot of options. You can go for the Lyra. The Grace is still open, and neither team has taken that. And it looks like they're thinking about one or both of those. And would definitely like to see it only be one. I don't really want to see or maybe if it's a Crystal Grace, I could get on board with a CP Jungle Grace. But it looks like they are going to be leaning towards this Black Feather instead. Black Feather into a Kestrel is an interesting one. There are definitely opportunities there for a Kestrel to be able to shut this Black Feather down. But assuming this will be a CP Black Feather, staying at range, having a lot of poke can really limit what can come out as his final pick.
I like the fact that Tasty Bacon had to add that disclaimer of assuming based on the picks we've had today. I think you're fair though to make that comment. Sky the last pick, so weapon powered Kestrel, Sky in the jungle here. Composition's rounded out, Scoundrel.
They are indeed, and it looks like, well, I've always considered CP Sky into CP Blackfeather pretty decent matchup for the Sky. In general, Sky's quite good into Blackfeather. I've always found I've had better performances, and I've talked to people who've had better performances with Weapon Power Blackfeather into the Sky, but CP Blackfeather into Sky can be quite difficult if you're not landing your on points, but then I guess that's the name of the game for CP Blackfeather, have to land those on points. Anyway, into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, time to hand over to Darcy and Tasty Bacon.
Thank you. This matchup between these two teams, Black Painters and a Video Gaming, is very important for them. An elimination match on the first round of the Vainglory League Challenger Series means that one of them will be going home empty-handed.
Well, we'll see how it will end up playing out. Right now, Blacky Cat and Kaneki going to be having a little bit of a duel here in the jungle, as both of these captains want to allow their team to get farmed up. Right with the side, the red team here, the Kestrel and the Sky, they're kind of grouping up, making sure that the gold gets shared. This is allowing both Screeze and the Iceman to have a solo start to the jungle, and the laning phase, which is going to give them a little bit of extra gold, a little bit of extra experience as well. So interesting decision there to see each of these teams kind of play this first minute very, very differently.
Yeah, no, certainly. And Blacky Cat, a little bit aggressive, will get taken down to a fairly low percentage of HP. This minion wave didn't effectively get pushed into the turret. A bit of a mistake, really, from Screeze. So there is no punish onto Viken here, who's going to be able to take away all of these creeps and keep a CS score that is very creep score, sorry, that is very very even to his opponent. So a bit of an issue there. He could have punished and pushed into turret, got a bit of chip damage down, missed opportunity.
A little bit of chance kind of going by the wayside. Screeze is really kind of just looking to push this lane up and then play very safely for now. Obviously is a little bit worried about Cinderella Man, I assume. Yeah, Cinderella Man, okay. It's tough to tell with those many letters and
The Cinderella Man
numbers.
versus the Iceman, Blackie Cat versus Kaneki.
I just like how it's the Ice Men, not the Ice Man.
Yeah, the Iceman, that's true.
Just, it's Scree's very much worried about the Sky rotating up from the jungle, and just again kind of pushes in this lane, uses those resonance bounces to clear out the wave a little bit quicker, so that they can just fall back and play a little bit defensively, and not really have to be in too much danger of getting ganked from the jungle. So I kind of like this playstyle right now, especially for a Vox against a team that can come online very, very early. There's going to be a ton of damage coming out from these forward barrages, as we're about to find out. Well, maybe not,
Right.
as the angle not quite there.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. The Iceman does come into the lane now to provide a bit of harass back. Scree's going to take that forward barrage. Is able to dodge away from it very quickly. Video Gaming not looking super confident in their team fighting capabilities just yet, as the Blackie Cat's easily tanking up all that damage sitting inside the sigil, and that was a on point onto Vicken. 240 damage, I believe it was, at this early level. That's a lot of damage to Vicken, who only has just above 300 HP. And so, I believe it's 300, I could be wrong. 1 bar equals 100, I assume that's the standard.
It's about 150, I think. It's a
Okay.
really weird number. But I don't remember what exactly it is off the top of my head. I
Oh,
just
she
know
has
it's
600, so it's almost double what I assumed it was. Okay.
yeah,
So,
it's like 150 or 200 per bar.
That's just experience from other places haunting me here. But yeah, no, like that's only how many on points would you need? Three on points to hit, and you've killed this Kestrel at the early levels.
And well, probably 4 when you factor in like natural regen and the time it takes to throw out an on point, like the cooldown there. So probably ends up being about 4 on points, but still very much not a very comfortable spot for a Kestrel to be in. Right now, Screeze, though, going to be in so much trouble.
And Cinderella, man, just hasn't not been making these forward barrage connect. It needs to really fix that issue, because that is kind of what makes Sky good into CP Blackfeather. That's what makes Sky good in general, is the zoning tool that is a forward barrage.
Well, right now, he's going to be connecting Cinderella Man again, moving up, trying to make a play happen in the lane, but they are going to be pushed back once again. Nice death from above is going to split Blackie Cat off.
Yeah, no, Blackie Cat is split off, but Cinderella Man's the one taking all the damage right now. A burst heal gives a bit of damage onto Avidia, just looking to try and poke them out of the lane. And yeah, no, right now, currently Black Panthers are handling the siege well. I do feel like it could all change in a heartbeat if Cinderella Man kind of finds a better angle. He has the Frostburn now, maybe that's what's necessary to keep them tied up in his forward barrage.
Well, right now, that's really what they're going to be looking to do, is make those forward barrages hit. With the Frostburn completed, we'll make it a little bit easier. You know, slow up a target with that first hit. Makes it a little bit more difficult for them to get out of it. But Screeze has actually been doing a really good job. You know, while we've been saying that Cinderella Man needs to be, you know, a little bit better with the forward barrages, Screeze has been doing a good job of dodging out of them and, you know, using the angles. You know, when forward barrage comes out, you know it's going to be in that specific angle. And if you just use that sonic zoom in a proper direction, you can get yourself out of that angle as you're still retreating. So Screeze has been doing a really good job of that thus far. all 6 members are going to be up in the lane looking for a chance to go in. Again, I want to see the Iceman just throwing out on points, trying to get that damage. It does so much work, especially with a Shatter Glass completed. Just throw him out, look to hit someone with it. Obviously, level 8 is where he's really going to be looking to make that happen, having that extra range. So he's going to duck back down to the jungle. He's going to try and get a little bit more experience farmed up so that he can reach that point where the on point is a massive threat.
Yep, certainly. You see the siege coming out, although it's hard to call it siege when no your abilities are connecting. This is troublesome from a video. Usually Sky is really good into Black Feather, and perhaps that's what they were thinking. She is a very mechanically adept hero though, probably more so than many people would give credit. And so you need to be landing your damage abilities consistently, target locking onto your main target and getting in range. The angle game is so important. When you throw it at a bad angle, it makes things so easy for Iceman and Screes to get out of it. And that's kind of just been the state of play, is that the forward barrages that have connected with a target have easily been escaped due to poor angles.
Speaking of those angles, I mean, that's what it's going to be all about. Cinderella Man throwing them that forward barrage at an angle that will either hit targets or force them into a spot where Bison can then take advantage of. They just haven't been able to make it work quite yet. And now with level 8 on the Icemen, these on points from long range are going to start doing a ton of damage. Nice gauntlet.
Yeah, it does get... Well, it's not a nice gauntlet, unfortunately. It doesn't really do anything. Blacky Cat just walks away from it. Naturally, it's Kaneki who's taken the brunt of the damage here. Everyone on the side of Black Painters are very healthy, especially with the Lyra healing them up. They're looking for a siege here, and Cinderella Man's very low on energy, on health, as he just takes on point after on point. Damage from that sigil being used, and everyone is pushed back. Level 8, and these on points doing so much work. Blacky Cat goes in. Vixen trying to escape. I don't think he can. Surely this is a kill to the Iceman. No. Okay, it's not a kill to the Iceman. Got a little bit ahead of himself there. Now looking for a kill into Kaneki, but here's Cinderella Man. It's going to be 1 kill to him. Iceman's going to go down as well. 2 kills, and Cinderella Man looking to find a third, but won't be able to do so. Very aggressive move by Black Painters, and really, really poorly executed.
Yeah, definitely paying for that. The Iceman went very aggressively looking for that kill onto Bison, but Kaneki still had a lot of resources available to save that carry. And that's exactly what happened. Now Bison doing some good damage to the turret and to Blacky Cat, who's trying to defend just long enough for Screes to get back and clear out these minions. So the turret's not going to take too much damage. Meanwhile, Cinderella Man did rotate down, take away a little bit of the jungle. This game is still very much up in the air. Look at the gold. It is a slight edge for the side of the team whose name I have trouble pronouncing.
Ovidio.
Ovidio? Is that?
Yeah, it's an Italian video.
Is it?
Ovidio.
Oh, that was a bad one. Jesus. Oh man. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like Ovidio or Oviedo or Ovido.
We'll stick with Ovidio, since that's what Expoundle came up with, and for consistency's sake, we'll be wrong together.
All right, well, Ovidio definitely can still put some pressure on, as we're seeing them start to do so. This may end up being a situation where they're waiting to have a third offensive item on their carries before really trying to push the issue, because they've been playing a little bit more of a defensive style throughout the majority of this game. Obviously, Kaneki has tried to go offensive with these gauntlets, but the team hasn't been really following up too much. It's been a lot of just pushing back the team of Black Painters and keeping them off of this turret, but they have done a really good job of doing so.
Yeah, no, it's been a very back and forth laning phase here. No one really finding themselves a huge advantage. Realistically, it should be Black Painters snowballing the game, but that earlier mistake has really put them in a bit of a pickle, as Blacky Cat does take that forward barrage to the face. Cinderella Man now starting to do a bit of work as Blacky Cat's going to get just destroyed. Needed to use that portal immediately to escape, and now Video are going to push forward. That Scree's taking a lot of damage. This Gauntlet going to trap everyone in, but they're just turning this one around. Where are you, Vixen? You need to lay down this damage. 1 kill and a 2. There's the double kill coming through. And ace buffed minions. This should be a turret going over.
Yeah, should 100% be a turret, with Vixen having the plenty of damage with this weapon, Kestrel, and lots of gold in the pocket as well, and that's just going to increase. Over 3,000 gold to go and spend. Vixen has not been to a shop in quite some time. It was about to hit a very, very large power spike by rotating down to the jungle shop here and picking up an Aegis, and actually isn't going to be really hitting much of a damage spike. Wanted to just focus on the defensive itemization so that the Icemen won't be hurting anywhere near as much.
Gold spiking in their favor of Video with a better late game composition due to the fact that they have the counters on their side. Now going to be feeling a little bit more confident, you would think. Vixen very short on items. His build costing a little bit, and needs to get his 3rd damage item on as quickly as possible. Assuming it would be a breaking point. I would want to see a breaking point. I think it will be a monocle. And so monocle, obviously glitter shot damage. The breaking point would be more consistent auto attack damage and ramp up over teamfights. These teamfights have been drawing on a little bit in the lane, and so you could definitely get value from it.
For now, it's going to be Ovidio having to be a little bit careful with their Arden down at the jungle shop. Now going to be rotating up. This could be a big opportunity if they throw it on the gauntlet, but a nice bulwark will stop that. Here it comes.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's Iceman caught in. The portal will give them route towards the fight. The Cinderella Man and Vitkin is very, very scared of chasing too deep. Seemingly don't want to be going in. That's going to be an active camera catching Iceman, but he wants Vitkin here. Fountain comes out, Death from above, keeping them all in place, and Screese takes that one shot. That's going to be Kaneki losing his life. No, the Fountain keeps him alive. Poor forward barrage. Cinderella Man won't find any follow-up damage, and with this Lyra healing them all up, they are looking to push forward. Blacky Cat, though, not really the frontliner this team needs from him. Going to rely on these on points to really pierce through the health bars.
And both of these teams are really playing a poke-oriented style with the play. I mean, really for the entirety of these 15 minutes, it's been a lot of grouping up in the lane, a lot of throwing out harassing damage. They do go aggressive, push in, take that turret. So evening up the objective game there is the Black Painters, and by doing so, it also gets them a little bit closer to re-evening up this gold that has slowly built into a lead for the side of Ovidio. But with Kraken on the fold now, this game can absolutely go either way. I think it's really just going to be about which of these teams decides to start really pulling the trigger first. The Iceman finishes off a Broken Myth. That's going to be a very big item for this Black Feather. If he just keeps laying out those on points, as long as he hits, gets a couple of Broken Myth stacks built up, when they do go in for the dive, it is just going to be so much damage provided, especially with the execution damage added onto that. So there you go. Looks like members of the Black Panthers, they want to be a little bit more aggressive with their poke. Cinderella Man throwing out those forward barrages. And, as long as they just kind of move as a team and can shuffle the damage, who's taking the forward barrage, it can really work for them, but not when Blacky Cat eats the majority of one.
Yeah, gets stunned in the gauntlet as well. Iceman's in trouble, trying to run away, but that's going to be Cinderella following through, and Iceman will fall here. Screese trying to find some damage, is on top of this Kestrel, but just can't quite get the kill. There it is, finally. Now he's in a 1v2 against Cinderella Man, going to follow that portal away, but the target lock is still there, and Screese should go down to this forward barrage. And Ace comes through for a video here And now it is going to be a Kraken started up by Kaneki.
And that's the thing, when you're going for a poke-oriented style, when you're trying to just harass and put out damage like that, you have to be very, very careful and aware of your positioning. Blackie Cat ended up taking a lot of damage, and the Icemen felt that they were safe trying to go a little bit forward and put that harassing damage out. But once the engage came out from Ovidio, the Iceman was just completely caught out on the wrong side of things, got taken down very, very quickly, and it left the rest of the Black Panthers in a rough spot. Now the Iceman needs to be careful. He's looking to try and make a steal on this Kraken, but Kraken's not quite low enough, and Ovidio, they're fine just peeling off.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do in this scenario. There's still a chance for a steal, but just drop the Kraken aggro. Can Screeze take it on this box? No, they're going to go fourth and look for another team fight. This is great, but Kaneki needs to make sure he doesn't lose his life fountain. Very late, but we'll keep him alive. And Screeze is just stacking up on his breaking point. He's going to find a kill, you think. Does get caught in active camera, gets the heal as well. That's going to be Vicken, very close to death, does run away. Great play there by Screeze to just find the work. And, you know, the first aggression from Iceman handled perfectly by Ovidio. The second time, the team was split in their decision-making and didn't go all ham onto the Kraken or all ham onto Screeze.
Well, it's, yeah, a really good job by Screeze and Blackie Cat to stop the Kraken. They didn't get any kills, but they stopped the Kraken take, and that is what is more important at that stage of the game. Like, the situation they were in, it was so much more important to make sure Kraken didn't get taken and start pushing in towards their base. But now, Ovidio, they're going to be in a position to look for a fight. Blackie Cat taking a good amount of damage, heals it right back up. And Ovidio just trying to get themselves into position to start up this Kraken, trying to force a fight, trying to force the members of the Black Panthers onto them. But I'm not 100% sure if that's the best call right now. I think they just know. Oh, beautiful death from above.
Yep, and that's going to be Gauntlet cancelled out as I think Kaneki went straight through the portal outside of it. There is going to be Iceman in a lot of trouble. Is able to escape for now. Screeze coming around the side. Cinderella Man has isolated himself, but there's the Vanguard to put him in the right place. Now it's Vicken isolated, and Screeze looking for the kill before the rest of his team comes up to help. Vicken goes down. It's now all on Cinderella Man with the Series Strike finds the kill. Blackie Cat, last man standing, should go down. Forward barrage not quite there, but the Siri does get it. An ace comes through, the Crystal Sentry taken. You'd think this time the Kraken should be theirs.
It very well should be. Excellent fight by Ovidio and Cinderella Man in particular, knowing that they had the angle on the Iceman to start that off. The forward barrage deep in enemy territory, and Kaneki able to give that little bit of extra speed boost that was needed to finalize that kill. Unfortunately, they do lose Vice in there, but it is still going to be the ace regardless. And as you mentioned, the Kraken likely to go over. I don't see the Iceman. The Iceman's not even going to try and contest this. It is not going to be able to get there in time. They wait for Bison to make their way back over, finish off this Kraken. That is Kraken Unleashed. 20 minutes in, and Ovidio definitely looking to push their way down the lane, see if they can finish this one off. Without the Ace Buff minions, there is still a second turret standing, but it is very, very low and should go down quickly once this push comes through.
Have to see what last hurrahs can be made. Some good moves by Screeze have been shining through, but it's just not been enough for Black Painters here. First turret does go down. Kraken will take a bit of damage from that turret. They're going to be looking for the choke point now as the forward barrage starts to tank. There's going to be a death from above catching 2. That's lots of damage. That's going to be Gauntlet going out. Blackie Cat stuck in the middle of it. And that should be the turret taken very easily by Ovidio. They have used their engaged tool. They may just look to fall back now. Let the Kraken die to their opposition. But now, with the Crystal Sentry ready to go, that will be its second life removed from the Halcyon Fold. They are going to be able to get that gold as well. Very close to finishing this first game.
Definitely very close. Would have liked to see them go a little bit more aggressive with the Kraken. You know, try and take at least one more turret, but They don't want to risk anything. They don't want to allow their opponents to get back into this game by picking up an ace with the Kraken push going. So they've been able to win the last couple of team fights. They got to be feeling pretty confident about their chances if it's a straight 3-on-3 out in the middle of the map. And that's what they might be getting. But no, it's a 2-on-3. They have to run.
Yeah, do. Let's see if they can get out alive. It looks like they should be able to. Kaneki takes a bit of damage, but has that life spring to heal himself back up. Does pop the wall treads, though. The engaged threat not quite as handy. Grease frontlining some damage as Iceman takes that forward barrage. Death from above will be easily avoided. Here's the gauntlet, straight on 3, but can they get the damage up? Everyone's grouped, there's glimmer shots coming out. Iceman very low. Fountain popped. Blacky Cat trying his best to get his team out of this one alive. But this Death from above is great. It turns the attention. One shot takes out Blacky Cat. Visson in trouble. Iceman trying to find a kill, but it's not going to come through. That's going to be a 2 for Nunus. Grease, last man standing. Tries to port back. Oh, the forward barrage catches him! Blind! And Grease is going to go down here. Can they finish the game from this? Yes, they can. Let's not take anything, guys. Push it to the base. Push to win. Spam the emote. Let's go.
Well, they're going to take the time to eliminate the sentry, rubbing salt in the wounds as they still have 20 seconds left with these Ace Buff minions making their way under the Vein Crystal turrets. This will be game 1 going to Oviedo. And again, it was a very patient game played by both teams, but in the end, Oviedo just won every meaningful team fight and take the victory.
Very nice stuff. Had a stronger composition as far as counters are concerned. Both compositions very strong in the late game, but you know, CP Sky generally trounces the CP Black Feather, and I'm very proud of Viken, however they pronounce their name, going down the breaking point route so that they could do more consistent damage against very mobile targets. Great stuff. Game 1 goes to a video, Scoundrel.
Yeah, it was a very, very good game from all of these guys. I think they performed nicely there. I want to apologise for the camera work that you might have been suspect to. Yeah, I accidentally pressed a button that wouldn't stop zooming the camera to the top of the map, and I couldn't understand how to undo it for a bit. So, so that was a thing that happened. Apologies for that, everybody. I think these teams are pretty ready to get going. And if that's the case, we'll get underway as soon as we can, because Video Gaming are 1 win away from keeping their hopes alive here in the VGL Summer Split 2, and Black Painters need to win the next game to at least give themselves a shot of not being eliminated.
I've just seen the excellent camera work during that team fight, Scoundrel. Beautiful stuff.
Accidentally pressed the button, didn't know what I did, but it happened. We're into draft.
No worries. Very important matchup, of course, here for Black Painters. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Sorry, I heard you go hut, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to, Elsie.
How you doing, Tasty Bacon? You're here as well.
I'm doing pretty good. I do just want to point out that the name Ovidio is probably the least accurate name we could have used, because there is nothing other than an O after the D. So it can't be Ovidio. It'd just have to be Oviedo.
Oviedo. Yeah. Unlucky.
Why can it not be OVD? Yeah, that's true.
Because grammar, that's why.
I love it.
It's all
Tasty
right.
Bacon has like shut me down with maths. He's just shut down Scoundrel with grammar. Oh dear, don't mess with
Either
Tasty
way, we're
Bacon.
over halfway through this draft.
Yeah, I woke up at 5 AM this morning, gents, and I'm entering the realms of delirium now. So it's I'm just going to shut up and let you guys talk. In fact, I won't be back. Actually, I'm just going to peace out now.
See you around, Scoundrel. Good luck in
Aegis
these
coming
spots.
through here for the final pick for Oviedo. As with the Vox Batiste, is this going to be a Batiste that gets flexed into the captain position? I wonder.
It's really strong in the jungle as well. I guess if you can find a second counter pick, Catherine maybe be good. It seems like they're going to go Arden. No, Grumpjaw. Interesting. Okay. It's Captain Grumpjaw, I think. Yeah, and CP Batiste. Lots of burst potential, lots of shutdown of mobility. Can really hurt the Idris and the Glaive. It's very likely going to be a CP Idris weapon powered Glaive from the jungle, which kind of shuts down the counter of the Ordained on Idris, but of course can work nicely into Glaive.
What I really want to see is Blackie Cat save the stuffed for when Vyson uses the ultimate on Idris. Wait for him to use it. As soon as he comes out of the ultimate, then you stuff him. And that's taking the Idris out of the fight for like 6 seconds.
The battle for the Halcyon Fold has
To drop
begun.
all those broken myth stacks as well. So, yeah, no, that could definitely work out. We are going to see all these guys head on into the Halcyon Fold, ready for this game 2 and an elimination match. And currently it's a video 1-0 up over Black Painters. This could be the end of the reload for Black Painters. A very short road for them, unfortunately. Unless they are able to push us to a game 3.
And, well, right now with a CP Idris, looks like they want to try and just prevent any aggressive jungling. Blackie Cat trying to run interference here against Kaneki, but not really, actually going pretty far in, but not really going to be finding too much, I don't think. But they're sticking around. Now I have to be careful because Cinderella Man is coming through after clearing out those couple of camps.
And they're going to all group up in the middle of the map here to contest, I believe, the Ancient Treant. A level 1 fight for these laners. The jungler is obviously level 2. Seems like Black Painter's going to drop the aggro, allow Avido to take this one down. It is secured by Avido, goes over to Cinderella Man, and now the fight begins. Vyson in a bit of trouble. Blackie Cat with his Grumpy up very shortly. Cinderella Man has split from his team after burn down for a pretty substantial amount of time. I think he is going to get stunned up here, and this might just be him losing his life. His first blood goes over to Blackie Cat. Very awkward split there, obviously not on the same page.
And the Black Painter is able to find that first kill, even though it is early on. But he still has a lot of damage. Wow, yeah, that was a straight up 1v1 up in the lane. Scree's going down. I was watching the jungle in case they tried to jump onto Kaneki. But it is going to be the Black Painters able to find a couple of, a kill and a couple of jungle camps for their efforts. Blackie Cat gonna get chased down by Cinderella Man. You got to be careful though. You can't go too deep looking for this Grumpjaw, and I think realizes that it is going to back off.
Yeah, certainly. Vyson with a Crystal Bit start. Typically against Foxes, we're seeing a more defensive route, which is the Book of Eulogies with some shielding to negate the resonance bounce damage, and then health potions. But with the Crystal Bit, that Chakram does a lot more damage, substantially more damage when it hits, and I guess Screese was just not expecting the assassination of Vyson, who was ready and waiting for Screese there. So a 1-for-1 so far in this game. Vyson taking harass. That's going to be Kaneki just losing their life there. The slow that comes out of the Grumpjaw into the Ordained from the Iceman makes things very difficult when a single target gets caught out.
And it's definitely a great tool, especially in the early game. There's not really many options that you have if you get hit by an Ordained early on. There's going to be more than enough damage to take you down, regardless of if you try and get out of it or not. Until the reflex blocks start coming through, it is really essentially a death sentence in the early game. So we'll see if the Black Panthers are going to be able to make this a snowball effect, or if the side of Oviedo will be able to play a little bit more carefully. But this CP Idris, again, the later this game goes, the more damage it's going to have. Those chakrams just do so much work. Screeze, thanks to having the poison needle, or the barbed needle, is going to be able to survive quite well, even if he gets hit by a chakram. Just clears out a couple of minions, gets healed right back on up.
Yeah, certainly does. Does help out with the poison ship. Also will help out with shutting down some of the healing that will come out from this Lyra. Lucky Cat just sitting in lane. Grumpjaw does a lot of damage early. Makes him a bit of a threat in these earlier levels. You see Cinderella Man's rotating up. But everyone has backed off. It's going to be a shop fight here, and Black Painters have made it to the shop first. That gives them priority, though they're not abusing that priority. Could have gone for a fight immediately, but opted in not to.
I'm really surprised that they didn't, because Kaneki still does not have that fountain. And this is something I would really like to see teams push the issue on more. Even Vainglory 8 teams, when they have a fountain and their opponents don't, I really want to see teams try and push the issue there, try and take advantage of that itemization edge, because the fountain provides so much in that situation. If your opponents don't have one, you can do so much work against them. But now it looks like Black Painters have maybe realized this and are trying to put a ton of pressure down. And Bison Kaneki, obviously Lyra can get away a little bit more than other captains without having the fountain, thanks to the sigil. But they can definitely still, if they keep Kaneki here in the lane, don't allow Kaneki to recall just yet, they can get a lot of work done onto this turret, maybe even find a kill or two.
Yeah, Kaneki just walks straight into the Ordained War, loses their life. There's a good dodge from Beeson to avoid the fearsome shade. Iceman almost losing theirs as Cinderella Man comes flying on in, but it's too little too late. And there's that fountain disadvantage being exploited by Black Painters.
The Iceman just died in the jungle?
Okay.
I think
that's going to be screen dying as well. Whoops a daisies. That is not great for the Black Painters. That's 2 kills going over.
Yeah, Cinderella Man was up in the lane. Cinderella Man was up in the lane and got credit for the kill onto the Iceman, who died like just above the back treant. That was an interesting. I think the Iceman went into the jungle without having enough, overestimating the sustain that would be coming out from the Batiste, and ended up going down, giving a kill over without really any repercussions for the side of Oviedo. So it gets them right back into this game, at least mentality-wise. Kaneki, oh, Blackie Cat, nice job.
Swallows him up. Now they're going to look for the burst here. Kaneki needs a reflex block and wasn't even going to be able to get out of that. Another kill goes over to the side of Black Painters, really just executing great with this Grumpjaw. Batiste, Cinderella Man goes flying on in. Doesn't quite find the afterburn necessary. Dodges the Fearsome Shade though. And it seems once more Black Painters are just going to loosen up the pressure in the lane.
And they kind of have to after that one. Screech just got taken down extremely low by that afterburn. Even though it didn't knock Screech in the direction that Cinderella Man would have really liked, it still was enough to at least, as you mentioned, just relieve the pressure a little bit for them. So Screech goes back, finishes off the second offensive item. So he's getting very close to being at a comfortable point in this game where we might see even more aggression come out from the Black Painters. You got the Icemen with the Shatter Glass. Oh, Kaneki in trouble again.
This time is able to survive. Fountain was popped. That's going to be Blackie Cat missing the stuff onto Cinderella Man. There's a chance for them to fight, but seems like Oviedo are pretty happy not going for too much of an aggressive move and instead just looking to scale this Idris up. He's gone down a Frostburn route to try and, I guess, kite the Vox and the Batiste. There's not a huge amount of CC, so if you don't have the CC, oh, there we go. Afterburn knocked, Screech dead, blown up instantly. Blackie Cat as well in a bit of trouble here. Should be able to walk away because this Idris isn't really doing a huge chunk of damage. But yeah, if there's not a huge amount of CC and you can't consistently hit your Chakram, then Frostburn works. That was really weird by Iceman. Is Iceman dead? I think he is. I don't see him escaping, and Blackie Cat dives on in. Oh my god, that Shimmer Strike was beautiful. Vison going to avoid death, and that's going to be 2 kills to Oviedo.
Yeah, very nice play there. It's kind of tough to see if it was a Shimmer Strike or
was.
the stuffed at first. You just have to wait and see if the Om Nom Nom shows up or how quickly Vyson gets out of the Grumpjaw's model. But it is a beautifully timed Shimmer Strike instead. Now, around this gold miner, another fight.
Yeah, this is not a great move by Avado, and that's going to be, unfortunately, Beeson losing his life as Kaneki goes back to base. Cinderella Man probably has stuck around for a little bit too long. Not going to get chased too deep. Instead, the gold mine is going to be set up. Good move by Black Painters, especially if they're able to execute the gold mine. That flare pretty much tells Cinderella Man that the gold mine's being taken. Now he is going to move over and try and steal it with an afterburn. He gets ordained. They should be able to get it, and he is now very likely to lose his life here. Oh, the heal comes through. Never mind. Gold secured by Black Painters, though. They have maintained a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, it's rather impressive that they have that large of a lead with the kills being even and turrets being even. It's just off of that one gold mine and just a farm advantage. You look at the CS numbers, you know, it's 88 to 73 in the lane. Actually, Blackie Cat going in, doesn't have the stuff available just yet, just came off cooldown. So now we could see them go in and look for another fight. But CS lead for Screes, and not so in the jungle. It's 47 to 60. A nice little lead for Cinderella Man, but the CS difference in the lane is where a lot of this gold differential is coming from.
Yeah. With the game scaling on, there is an advantage, I think, to Avado, if not shut down by the Iceman and Blackie Cat. Really just comes down to reactions and skill. Veason able to roll away from that Grumpjaw ultimate. Idris fairly decent into Grumpjaw due to his high mobility. And Cinderella Man looking for an engage, does get Fearsome Shade. It's in Kaneki connecting with it. Veason going to move in, alternating current finish, but that's an ordained, and the Shimmer Strike will get him out, but he is stunned inside the Shimmer Strike, so he kind of has to sit there forever. Now a kill over to Cinderella Man, looking for a second. That's going to be it, going through. Kaneki very brave just to dive on in, whilst his two teammates were not able to join him, but it worked out perfectly, and they're going to get a turret for this.
Yeah, they're going to get a turret. They're going to be able to clear away a little bit of the jungle as well. So really nice job by Ovado finding that fight and able to get the kills, get themselves the objective. And just like that, this gold lead that we were talking about is all but diminished. It's a 500 gold lead now in favor of the Black Painters still, but it's a lot of momentum that Ovado just picked up. You need to make sure you don't stick around too long, which they have not. They rotate themselves back out, but now the Icemen and the rest of the Black Painters may be looking for an opportunity here.
Beeson this time will get swallowed up. Not quite able to roll away. That's going to be the turret going very low. Beeson will lose his life here. That's going to be Cinderella Man attempting to get a return kill, but he is just going to get kited and taken on out. Kaneki throws the fountain over. Oh, it's enough to give Cinderella Man the time to buy himself a kill. The shutdown just goes over to Iceman there, and now this turret will lose its life. Gold going to snowball even further in favor of Black Painters. This Idris is still not at a point where he is ready for team fights, sitting roughly about 2,000 gold away from where he wants to be, and he's started an Aegis as well. And if he prioritizes the Aegis over the Broken Myth, then that's going to be even more gold. 3,500 gold away from where he needs to be.
Yeah, that Broken Myth is just so important for Veason to be able to have these fights that they're looking for, although wouldn't have really made much of a difference in that last engagement if you get swallowed up by a Grumpjaw and then killed immediately upon getting spit out. And Broken Myth doesn't exactly help in that situation, but they are going to be looking to continue posturing up. I like the fact that Ovado, like, despite when they lose a fight, they still come back strong looking to posture up again. They aren't just like saying, okay, we lost that fight, we need to just back off and, you know, play defensive and give more fights to our opponents. They're still willing to take the fight to them because they know that they are close up. They're within striking distance, that if they catch out a target, they can win the fights just as well. So it's a very close game that we are getting as a result. You can see just about 15 minutes in, Kraken will be spawning less than a minute from now. And that's when things will really start to pick up in intensity and tension. Blacky Cat going in again. Oh, Afterburn out of a stuff. That feels bad.
Yeah, it's great. Glaive into Grumjaw, very effective of just removing that stuffed immediately. Kaneki needs to make sure that they don't find themselves caught. This gold mine going to be started up, has 20 seconds left until the Kraken swallows it up, so good timing by Black Painters to take it. There won't be a contest, it seems, though, and if there is a contest, Cinderella Man is too late to the party. So the gold miner pushes their lead further, allows for a null wave to be picked up by Blacky Cat here. Going to look to try and item silence Kaneki and cause a bit of a disruption in the side of Avedo.
The item silence can be such a strong tool if used correctly. Could even be used onto a target that they're trying to stuff, just to make sure the reflex block isn't available. And so there's just a lot of different uses that Blacky Cat can find for that null wave gauntlet. Meanwhile, the Black Painters all up in the lane. Members of Avedo looking to get vision control, but they don't realize they've been spotted out. Now they do, as they are having to back away. Black Painters looking to perhaps find an opening here.
I'm not liking the fact that Avedo have just negated infusions completely this game. They obviously want to focus all their gold income in towards items so that they can get into a much better position, but their opponents are threatening Kraken. Their opponents want to teamfight, and their opponents will be able to teamfight, especially if Fearsome just face checks a bush. Does get knocked out of the Grumpjaw ultimate. That's going to be Fearsome Shade knocking them all through. This is not a good start to the fight for Avedo. They're going to struggle to turn this one around. Cinderella Man trying to find the kill. Iceman very low. That's a good usage of the sigil, but now it is just going to be Screeze moving forward. Does get knocked back though. That's going to be everyone on the side of Black Painters extremely low. Infusions could have been the difference for the side of Avedo. They could have had enough damage to win that, but yeah, you can't just not buy infusions when you hit this late game. You do have to unfortunately sacrifice gold.
We'll see if they go ahead and do that now that both Bison and Cinderella Man are about to be at the 500 gold mark. Nope, not going to be an infusion. It's going to be a light armor for Cinderella Man instead. And Bison does pick up the crystal infusion, but they really need that weapon infusion on Cinderella Man. Just that needs that little bit of extra damage in these fights to be able to swing them fully. And that last one went the way of Avedo. Like, they got the better of that fight, but they also had a Crystal Sentry fighting with them for a large portion of it. So they need to be very careful with Kraken on the fold. Again, both of these teams, you can see that they've kind of are being a little bit more cautious with their movements. A lot more flares being purchased and used, and not wanting to make that crucial mistake that could cost their team the game. As the Black Painters moving up, again, she's going to be flaring out that tri-brush, trying to find vision, trying to pop those scout traps where they can when they have the opportunity. They missed the one that was down in the shop brush. Instead, it's going to be, again, just taking away a little bits of gold, wanting to make sure you still keep your farm and your gold income up, so that when the fight does break out, you're as strong as you possibly can be. But Blacky Cat's going into Cinderella Man. Defensive afterburn will get him to the rest of his team.
These fights are becoming a little bit tense, I feel. Beeson's still sitting on that infusion in their pocket. Needs so much gold to... Oh, he's used his reflex block instead of the infusion. Whoopsie days. Hopefully that wasn't spotted. Hopefully it doesn't turn the fight. That's going to be Beeson. Now looking to try and kite back. Blacky Cat very low. This Chakram's dancing through, ripping through. Actually, I think he missed the return there. Could have got a little bit extra damaged. Blacky Cat, though, goes very, very low. Beeson will get away with his accidental reflex pop. Needs another 1,000 gold, though, until he hits Broken Myth. 1,000 gold is a lot, and he hasn't ever felt safe farming the lane. So he's not been really making huge of his gold income. 130 gold at 19 minutes, whilst you're still trying to finish your build, shows just how far behind he is.
Yeah, well, that's going to be at least the heavy prism picked up. So just one last step to getting that Broken Myth online. But members of the Black Panthers definitely wanting to be a little bit aggressive here, wanting to try and push up. They're able to pop a lot of this vision. Lucky Cat. Oh, find it. Oh, he's not going to find that scout trap.
Okay.
It's a good value scout trap there, placed by the side of Oviedo, but here we go.
Here comes the engage. That's going to be once more Kaneki in the belly. Will come out. Cinderella Man trying to cut away, but they've split up. He needs to get out of here. Simmer strikes to join his team. There's the fountain. There it is. Comes out. It's very late. Kaneki very low. That's going to be the Vox taking down this Idris. No Broken Myth means he just doesn't have the damage ramp up. That would have been a completely different fight with it. Now, with the Idris dead, the Kraken will get started up here, and this is tough. You're still just 200 gold away. In theory, the next team fight, you have the Broken Myth, but you're going to be dealing with a Kraken unless Cinderella Man somehow steals it. He knows it's not full. Doesn't need to be aggressing too deep. In fact, they're going to drop it. Screese went back. That was very surprising. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's Avado just given a lifeline. They're going to have Broken Myth in the next fight.
They're going to have Broken Myth in the next fight. They should have infusions as well topped up as they're about to wear off. The Iceman needs to get an infusion. Has plenty of gold for it, though. So these fights are so close now, Dowsy. I mean, this game has just almost grinded to a halt at the 15-minute mark. It was like both teams were just kind of walking around trying to find that one member that was going to be just out of position enough for them to take advantage of. And now that we're 21 and a half minutes in, feels like Black Panthers are a little bit more willing to take some small risks and try and force the issue against Oviedo. But Oviedo, again, looking like they're playing a little bit defensive. They need to wait till they have the gold for infusion. Cinderella Man is now 400 gold off of that infusion, while every single member of the Black Panthers has an infusion active. So they should be looking to force an issue. They just saw that there were no infusions on Oviedo. They got vision of everyone. They saw no infusions. If they just opened their scoreboard and checked, they would see that. But they don't try and push the issue. It's a big mistake by the Black Panthers. That would have been a huge advantage they could have had in that fight. But now it's going to be an opportunity for Oviedo to get up to 500 gold each and get those infusions.
Yeah, no, they're going to have it now. Beeson purchases his. Cinderella Man just 30 gold away will allow for it to tick on over. A good push up the lane here by Black Painters will force Avado to move towards them. Cinderella Man looking to go in. That's going to be the Bright Bulwark laid down. Looking for the Afterburn. Does get stand up, but there it is. Waits out. Very patient. Lucky Cat swallows up. That's going to be Cinderella Man almost losing his life. Can the fountain come out in time? Yes, it does. Cinderella Man will survive. And Veason, he's got this Broken Myth now. 8 stacks looking to do the work. Look at the damage that it does. A triple kill for Veason. I told you, as soon as the Broken Myth comes, the CP address would do the damage. Avado had to stall for 23 minutes. They win a team fight, get a Kraken, and they're going to be able to push turrets. Even 2 turrets, I think, for Veason is plausible.
It very much is. With the length of these death timers, even after the turret goes down, still 20 seconds on the shortest death timer. No minions left, though. So he's actually going to back off here. And instead, may actually stick around to look for this turret. Knows that the Kraken is going to be taken safely by his teammates. And again, just missed opportunities for the Black Panthers. Definitely going to be haunting them. They had so many chances where they could have forced a fight while Oviedo was still very weak and didn't have their damage.
Look how much gold Veason has. He's sitting on 3,000 gold. Doesn't need this Crystal Sentry. He can go get himself an Eve of Harvest now. I assume that's what he's going to pick up. Or the components for it. Doesn't quite have the money, but finishes the Journey Boots instead. Actually, he did have the money. He just decided Journey Boots was more important. So now going to be speeding on 4th here to try and find a kill. Blacky Cat dies on in. Reflex block was used, but now it's going to be Blacky Cat just a stack tool for Vison, who's up to 4. Everyone's so healthy, and the Fountain's still ready to go. They're going to move forward, look for the kill onto Screezy. Screez will be able to survive. First turret does fall. Beeson gonna get focused on down. Cinderella Man's taking the turret. This is poor execution, but the Edris will go down. They lose 2 there. Cinderella Man, though, says, you know what, I'm just gonna finish the game all by myself, and I think he's done it. Kraken now to be taken. I don't think they have a very fast Kraken taking team. Oh, they've given up. Screez has given up. That's going to be game going over to Oviedo as they find a 2-0 here. Tasty Bacon stalling for 23 minutes. They are able to take the win.
Yeah, able to stall it out, perhaps being allowed to stall it out as well. The Black Painters, again, I feel like they really missed some opportunities where they could have forced a fight and won it easily before the damage was there for Oviedo, before the Broken Myth was completed. They had a chance when there was no infusions on Oviedo. They just let those opportunities go by the wayside. And Oviedo, you have to give them credit. They waited it out. They didn't play into the hands of the Black Painters and end up with the victory at the end of the day.
Scoundrel, that was a tough game to watch because Black Painters were ahead for so long, but just not executing on any of the advantages they had to any meaningful measure. Unfortunately, we do say goodbye to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, we say goodbye to Black Painters. It's technically a seed upset for here video. They were the seed below Black Painters, 1 seed below. So technically a seed upset if you call it that.
Ooh.
Anyway, let's go through what we've seen today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go and have a look at the results that we've seen thus far. Now, we just saw, if I can make this switch properly. We just saw Black Painters beat Oviedo. Oh, sorry, Oviedo beat Black Painters 2-0 in the last match of the day, the elimination match. You can tell I'm tired now, can't you? Our 2 winners bracket, or the round of 32 matches, 90 Degrees taking on TH and Envy. 90 Degrees won a comfortable 2-0 there. And Isuba managed to come back against Wintex Sports to take a 2-1 over them. I believe Isuba now to play Team Queso in the 2nd round tomorrow for a rematch of their 1st round win in the previous split of the VGL summer season. Now, guys, there is a lot on the line for these teams. They are playing for not only the money, not only the pride of being the VGL champions, but also the opportunity to fly to, I believe, America, where the next Unified Western Live Championships are held. There, they will get to enjoy the professional play of all the VG8 teams, but at the end of the weekend, right before the finals, I believe, they'll be playing the VIS North American Challenger Champions in a brawl, a sort of best of 5 EU versus NA Challenger Series battle, in which we can see whether the European challengers or the North American challengers have the upper hand. It's going to be a really, really, really cool prize for this team, and I can't wait to see what champion the European scene puts forth as the winner of the VGL Summer Split 2. Now, we're going to be back tomorrow. I will not be hosting. I believe my good friend Dowsey will be hosting tomorrow, and he'll be taking over the reins of all the technical things, which he does far better than I do because I'm old and tired. It's been a wonderful pleasure. Dowsey and Tasty Bacon, any closing thoughts from today, starting with Dowsey?
Idris is pretty fun to watch when he gets to his late game build. But CP Idris clearly can be punished, and teams need to do that much more effectively.
Well, there you go. Gonna say, Tasty Bacon, any closing thoughts from today?
And just the key difference between the top teams and the rest of challengers is the ability to take advantage of your current situations and punish mistakes or just opportunities that your opponents give you. And unfortunately, the teams that are not able to make those punishes happen are the ones that take early exits in these tournaments.
Well, very fitting. Now, gentlemen, I will see you. Well, I won't see you both tomorrow, but Dowsey and Tasty Bacon will be back tomorrow at around 6 o'clock CET, and that's 5 o'clock BST, or British Summertime, if you follow that time zone. Thank you very much for watching today, and we will see you next week, and also tomorrow, but I'll see you next week.
Party. All the people from the front to the back. Party.